Alright, looks like we're finally live. Twitch was, I don't know, being a little weird. Don't really have anything to explain it, just like usually it starts within a couple of seconds of me pressing go. But today, it decided to lag a little bit. But anyway, today is Monday, November 11th of 2019, and this is gonna be another like super chill stream. At least that's the plan. Last stream what I did was I moved a bunch of repositories off of Travis CI and onto Azure Pipelines or Azure Pipelines with GitHub Actions. And the plan is to do more of the same today. I just got up from a nap, so if I seem super out of it, that's probably why. Don't really have an excuse there. I just kind of like fell asleep in the middle of the day. But, and it's mostly, well, I'm gonna blame it on daylight savings time. Because it gets dark at like 4:45 now, which is just too early. But yeah, let's get started. So I'm basically just going down the list, and I realized I skipped over one yesterday that we can probably do, but I'll need to do some rewriting of how the CI works. Oh, also yesterday my internet was super busted. DNS was just like not working, and like all sorts of things were going wrong. It seems better today, and I also switched my DNS and restarted all of my devices, and that seems to have made it better, I think, maybe, hopefully, we'll see. But, DNS, the cause of all problems. Hey, what's up, Suki Latham and 128p? Look, it's the Nano Dude. Hey, Nano Dude, how's it going? Well, the Nano Dude says it's going alright. But yeah, so the first one we're going to be looking at is this no many Linux package. I realized that the CI that I have for it is non-standard, so I might as well fix it while I'm at it. Not checkout. Oh man. It's going to be a typo sort of day. Alright, so the first thing that we have to do to get it set up and off of Travis is to set it up in Azure Pipelines. We'll go through that whole clicky step that we did yesterday. One. I guess it should really start there, so that should be the first click. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 clicks. 13 clicks, because I'm gonna have to click save also. Actually, probably 14 clicks. So a little bit of work. Is this like a one-off weekday stream? It is a one-off weekday stream, Nakaleric. Oh, I forgot to update my Google Calendar. Whatever. Too late now. Yeah, this is just like super one-off. Completely unplanned. I was just like, well, like 5:30 and I don't really want to go to sleep because it's 5:30, and I had some programming that I wanted to do, so I might as well do it anyway. I think this is false, but anyway, yeah, so not really planned, but I need to move I want to move all of my CI over eventually, so I might as well do it right now. So this repository was set up I think a long time ago. Let's see, yeah, end of year 2016, I guess not that long ago. But for whatever reason, I decided to makefile based setup instead of my normal talk setup. Probably because this is dead simple, but now it's the special snowflake and nothing else works this way, kind of. So might as well move it to talks. And while we're doing that, we'll move it to Azure Pipelines. How do the tests work? Okay, the tests just call virtualenv and pip. So we'll ignore coverage because coverage isn't going to do anything here. This package is super silly. This is all the contents of this package are. It's just these 3 constants set to false. But there's tests that demonstrate that those 3 constants actually do something. I actually talked a little bit about this last stream, but We'll avoid the long description of this, but it prevents installation of certain types of pip packages for security reasons. I say security in quotes, but it's actually like security that I believe in, so it's not really security, I guess. What is one that we did yesterday? This one. So, we won't be using coverage. But other than that, I think the setup is the same. Pre-commit, PyTest, and modern virtual env. And we have a build status badge. So we'll have to copy the build status badge over here. But how are you guys in chat doing? How's today? I did a little bit of work today. I was supposed to record a podcast in the morning, but my internet was still messed up, and the other person also forgot, so it was a convenient double no-show for both of us. And then I like kind of on and off did some work from home today, but because my internet was such a mess, it was pretty hard to actually get anything done. So I didn't really do all that much work today. And then tomorrow I'm taking the day off to go to Los Angeles to see a concert. So I'm gonna be busy with that. And then Wednesday and Thursday are GitHub Universe, so it's a GitHub conference. So I'm gonna be busy for that too. So this week is just kind of busy for me. So might as well get a stream in while we're at it, right? There's probably no reason to test all these different versions, but whatever. Turn off coverage. Hopefully this will just work the first time. Oh, I guess we can test the talks now. So pip wasn't working for me yesterday, so I couldn't actually like run anything locally, which was really annoying. But we can validate these. In theory. Oh, we need to update our gitignore. What are all these things in here? I don't think we need that anymore. Oh no. We've started with a failing test. We're off to a good start. What is the first test? Test normal. Oh, these tests all assume Python 3.6. Okay. So we'll change them to not assume Python 3.6, and 3.8 has all of the wheels. Oh, that means it won't work in PyPy either. Alright, we'll cancel this. So we're gonna remove PyPy. PyPy doesn't have many Linux support as far as I know right now, so it's fine to just skip it. This package in theory will still work for PyPy if it ever gets many Linux support, but it doesn't need this package. Okay, 12.3 to 19.4. And we can just do this instead. Should also do the same for this coin curve package too. Although I think it's might only be Python 3. I don't know what this package is. I just know that it supports this particular wheel type. Simple. Oh, it does have CP2 and Mini Linux 2010. Oh, but we won't be able to know the difference between Mini Linux 1 and Mini Linux 2010. I didn't know you could promote one of both. Seems weird. But oh, and I guess you can have PyPy. Oh, Mini Linux 2010 includes PyPy. That's the kicker. That's what it was. But this test should be fine. I think that'll work now. Let's try the test suite now that we fixed that. This is kind of a useless line right here. Hey, what's up, CodeMonkey.js? How are you doing? 128p says, sorry, had a little power outage, but yeah, hello, Nano Guy. Hello, hello. Hey, what's up, A Cosmic? Thank you for the follow. Hope you're doing well. What am I working on tonight? More of what I did last night, so kind of like quick intro to a bunch of my projects as I move their continuous integration over. Move their tests and stuff. And in this case, fix the tests because they're broken. But yeah, hello again, A Cosmic. These two lines are kind of silly, so I can just do this directly. But yeah, this package here prevents downloading of many Linux wheels in pip. It's kind of a little bit of a hack. I originally wanted to disable this so that I could make a wheel downloading thing for Yelp. Because the way Yelp does PyPI is it pulls down packages from public PyPI, the source package, and then rebuilds them from source for a bunch of different operating systems and distributions, and then re-uploads them. But we kept getting these many Linux packages which have vendored SOs, and so they would potentially have security problems that we couldn't fix automatically or had no visibility into. I originally made this Stack Overflow question, which a bunch of people are like, blah blah blah, and the official suggestion from pip is now use this package. Where is it? Yeah. So the somewhat official way to do it is to use this package that installs this little file here. Okay, so that fixed it. Hey, what's up, Julian? Twitching! Yeah, that's what's going on. I have met Julian in real life. He's a really cool guy. He works on a bunch of open source Python stuff as well. What's your most famous one? Probably JSON schema? Yeah, JSON schema. Infamous. Yeah. Yeah, Julian's great. We hung out a bunch at the last PyCon, which was pretty cool. It was good to meet a bunch of people in person that I had only seen digitally. And hopefully this passes. We'll see. Okay, it started running now. And we can probably move on to the next one. Just pipeline this up. We're gonna skip this one for now because it requires some like special Docker stuff. But this, I guess I can talk about it first then. This kind of goes hand in hand with the last No Many Linux package. So this is a tool called pip custom platform. It's a glorious, glorious hack. But the way it works is it translates Linux platforms to a more specific platform identifier, such that you could pre-build dynamically linked wheels against a bunch of different platforms and install them uniquely. So like for instance, on Ubuntu, on Ubuntu normally the platform would always be Linux x86 64 or x86 if it's 32-bit, but I don't know who's using 32-bit in 2019. At least that's what Apple's betting on. But it would produce a platform name like this, and so you would be able to uniquely install this on this particular platform. And it does this with varying levels of hackiness. But it works. It's just like kind of sketchy in how it does it. I eventually want to kind of upstream the behaviors here, because this was extremely experimental, but also very, very successful. This was the whole way that Yelp was able to move from one Python distribution to another without setting up multiple PyPI servers. Have you tried out the upcoming coverages context feature? It looks cool. I have not tried it out, but I have looked at it. But yeah, it does seem pretty cool. Like you can see like where, like if you have coverage on a particular line, you can see where that coverage came from. But yeah, like Ned and contributors have been doing quite a lot there, and it seems pretty cool. I don't know what I'll be able to do with it though, because it seems like, or I don't have any plans to do anything with it yet, is what I'm trying to say, but it seems pretty cool. Where's the real patch guy? He and his boss were the real thing. Yeah. He'll probably show up. We'll see. It's like bright and early in the morning for him though. Although I think one of them is, from what I understand, one of them lives in Spain and the other one lives in like Bay Area, but I could be wrong about that. I don't actually know. Hey, what's up, Julian? Thank you for the follow. A Cosmic says, I'm a noob. What's a wheel? Sure. What's a simple package? This one probably doesn't have that many versions. Oh, I wanted simple, not... Okay, so for Python packages, there are two ways to, well, there's actually more, but in the modern day, it only really matters about two different ways to distribute them. One is a source package, where you'll typically see like either tar.gz or .zip. And what this is essentially like, it's basically the source that you would clone. So you see like a setup.py, you see all of your source code, you'll see all of the C files if you have binary extensions. You could have all sorts of other stuff in your source distribution, but this is essentially supposed to be the source. And then a wheel is a pre-built output of that. And there's 3 tags in this portion of the wheel file name, and that identifies how it can get installed. This is kind of a boring one, so in this case it's saying that you can install it in pure Python on either Python 2 or Python 3, so not depending on the implementation. The ABI is none, so it doesn't actually depend on any particular Python ABI, and the platform is any, so you could install it on macOS or Windows or Linux and it would work fine. You can get more complicated than this. Terminal size. Oh, that's not a good one. Here's what I do. Setup tools, Golang, examples. So here's another example where we have some source distributions here, but we also have these mini Linux wheels. But in this case, you can see, if we highlight this again, our targeted Python version is CP27, which is CPython 2.7. Hey, what's up, Drew Cooper's son? Oh, hosting with 1 viewer. It's probably you if I had to guess. So CP27 is like CPython 2.7. This next part is the ABI. CPython 2 didn't actually have defined ABIs, but they kind of retroactively added ABIs here. So it used to be like CP27 none Linux x86 64, but now in modern versions of Wheel, I want to say it's like version 24, they changed this behavior. I used to know the number because it broke a whole bunch of stuff. Because we were depending on the file names here, but it changed out from under us and that broke some things. I think it was because pip 1.5 couldn't install CP27 MU wheels, and so everything exploded. That was old times. I no longer have to worry about super old software, hopefully. Yeah, this is the ABI, and then the platform is Mini Linux 1 x86 64. Mini Linux 1 is kind of a special platform that's intended to be like, it basically represents that it was built against really, really old libc and should work on any modern Linux, but it doesn't quite work out that way. But hopefully that gives you kind of a crash course of wheel. You can also see some more exotic platforms. So like, what's another example? Dominant, for instance. Here is a wheel which is pure Python, or it doesn't depend on any Python implementation. So Py2, Py3. It doesn't care about the ABI, but it is platform specific. So you end up with a platform identifier at the end. This is kind of like a special case here. And this is like a weird... I don't actually remember how this distribution got produced, but I don't think it works. But anyway, that's wheels. On a Monday night, yeah, recursive chat. It's a weird stream for me. Oh no, Desert Paling. Drew Cooper-san, yeah, that Doug Hogan guy, dude. You could get a right answer and get negative points. That sucks. Okay, so why did this fail? Python 2.7 on Linux. What do we got here? Where's the error? Many Linux 1 not in this version. Excuse me? What? What version of pip did we end up with? What version of talks did we end up with? Why, if it worked locally, right? We just ran this. Yeah, it works fine locally. Why did this fail? The last test failed too. What was the last test? Oh, this test ran twice? Oh, okay, I see. Yeah. It reruns test normal at the end. Okay, well, let's look at what version of Tox we installed. So we downloaded virtualenv 16.7.7. That should be new enough. Tox 3.14. Yeah, this is all modern stuff. What gives? Oh, you know what I bet it's gonna be? I bet they have poorly compiled Python again. How can I tell, though? How can I tell? So what my guess here is that they have so that so this is where that mu comes into play. Libsass. Do you see how we have CP27 mu? So see how I only produced many Linux wheels for the mu ABI? There's also CP27M, which is narrow Python. And my guess is that the Azure Pipelines Python 2 is narrow? Unfortunately, I don't know how I would notice that, though. Because I don't see anything in the output here that talks about CP. Whatever, I can't be bothered to fix this. I'm just gonna skip Python 2.7, call it good enough, and then move on to the next one. Who needs Python 2.7 after all, right? Is there there's an open bug on GitHub Actions. Let's see, GitHub Actions, narrow, Python 2.7. Well, this is, oh, that's someone else. Okay. Actually, this is Azure Pipelines, so it's the same idea, but, or same backing software. would I figure this out? Oh, you found it already. Oh, you found that GitHub Actions one, which is the same backend code. Cool. Subscribe to that. Yeah. Same on Azure Pipelines, which is presumably the same backend. Cool. Thanks for the link there, Julian. That definitely definitely explains that one. I think I can cheat though, depending on if they have Python 2 installed on the system. But I'd rather not. This is easy enough. Temporarily disable I27. I can link this issue. What happened? Oh, I tried to search for this. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Search. Oh goodness, why? Why is this being difficult? There we go. Nope, whatever, it's fine. We'll just link to this issue then. Oops, not there. Okay, so that one should be good now. Oh, I should flick this off. Otherwise it's gonna try and build Ruby. We don't want to build Ruby. Was I quick enough to get it before it noticed? Seems like I was fast enough. Cool. Or maybe it knows to skip the PR due to this. Whatever. Either way, on to the next one. So we're skipping pip custom platform because it uses some Docker stuff that's more complicated than I want to deal with right now. And then we get to the thing that powers how pip custom platform works, which is this kind of unique approach to monkey patching. The way this works is you can register a patching function, and it will intercept an import of a module. So it gives you like a post import hook, so you can rearrange parts of a module before any other import would see it. Which I had not seen anything like it before, and the implementation is kind of whack, and I need to update it because it's still using deprecated stuff. But I haven't had time for it because honestly I don't use this anymore, so why should I invest work into it other than just like little easy things like upgrading the CI? But it provides an import hook that this is where the magic happens. Well, what does that do? Oh, this is the like jump to definition stuff. Interesting. But yeah, it provides an import hook and does this like circular import thing to find itself, and it kind of works. Pretty nifty. One XXX Ghost XXX says, "Hey, I'm an absolute beginner. Which language should I learn?" That's a good question. I usually, I would suggest something that, like, if you've already started working on something, like, go with whatever language the frameworks that thing work well. But it really depends on like what you're trying to build. Like if you're working on like a web app, or like if you're working on a web app, you'll probably learn JavaScript. If you're working on a Windows application, you'd probably write C#. If you write a web backend, you might do JavaScript or Python or Ruby or any other language, Go even, PHP. But I think it really depends on what you want to work on and what you want to learn and what you want to get out of it. You've never programmed. Well, if you want like a easy all-around language to get started with, like Python is a decent choice. JavaScript is also a decent choice. It's certainly, those are both certainly like the more employable languages. And if you want to do like enterprise software, you would learn C#. C# is by far my favorite language. Unfortunately, I don't get to write in it very often, but so nice. Did I finish this? I wasn't even paying attention. What did I do? Did I merge the PR? Just autopilot, click the button. Okay, yeah, autopilot, click the button. Good job. Good job, me. I guess I should check if the badge shows up, because that was a problem on another repo. What do you like that much about it? About Python? I don't know. I don't think Python's actually a great language. I think it's a good, easy one to get started with and learn. But I don't know. It suffers from some problems that I wish were more easily solvable. Like typing is one of them, which about C#. I like having a compiler that's pretty fast. I like having access to a bunch of libraries that work pretty well. Link is kind of amazing. What else? What else do I like about C#? I don't know. It's honestly been a while since I've programmed in it, so I might be like projecting past me's like, oh, this is amazing sort of thing. But I don't know. Hey, what's up, Rebellos? Thank you for the follow. Hope you're doing well. Should I enroll in a Python course in Udemy? Certainly an option. You can. I would suggest, like, I don't remember whether Udemy is paid or not, but there are a lot of free resources on learning Python online. One that I sometimes recommend, but there's some parts of it that I'm like, I don't really like this, but learnpython.org has some pretty good stuff for learning some basics, so it might be something to like get you started before you like sign up for a paid course or something like that. Okay, cool. This badge did update. Awesome. But yeah, the last time I wrote C# was in like 2011, and I was working on a couple of different things. One was a like web forms backend with like strongly typed JSON APIs and strongly typed. Actually, the really cool part was the HTML views, which were super like strongly typed. What were they called? Razor templates. Razor templates. I don't know if they still exist. Let's see if we can find an example. Come on, just show me an example of the syntax. Yeah, so this is like the syntax. And it was like pretty smart about knowing the context of your code and like not needing too many symbols to render stuff. It was all just a lot of like @ signs that started your code context. And of course you could escape them if you needed a specific one, and like if you needed to do statements, you could do this. Although you really shouldn't be performing side effects in a template render, but I guess you can. And then like branches were like this, and so it was this was actually like pretty wild, but it was able to know that this is part of this if statement up here without any special syntax to do that. But I don't know, I really like this templating, and you could do strongly typed templates. This one is not one of the strongly typed templates, but you could, I forget how it worked. There's like some pragma at the top where you would define the types that you would take in your template, and so you could actually get like full tab completion and full type checking in a HTML template, which I just was like I was very happy working with it back then. Automate boring stuff with Python. It's a free book and it's very beginner friendly. Ah, yeah, I've heard good things about that. And Bledicis? I don't know. Says edX has lots of good ones. You can audit them for free, but you don't get any certificate. There are also hundreds of YouTube Python tutorials. Yeah, that's true. I even have a little bit of tutorial content. Oh, mine's very specific to like Python 2 to Python 3 migrations, which people do all the time. And not like super beginner friendly. I do eventually plan to like make some more educational content, but it's just been way easier for me to just stream and then like bulk upload than deal with prepping material and editing and recording and all of that stuff. It's just like, it's almost like not worth it. Like let me show you some of my videos, some of my older videos. I guess I won't show them, but I'll just like mention how much work went into each of them. So if we scroll down past all my old streams, yeah, so like some of these first videos that I made, like the longest one is, this one is 11 minutes and 24 seconds. This one is like 8 minutes. They're all relatively short. They're all around like 3 to 5 minutes. But even like a 5-minute video, I would spend like probably like 3 or 4 hours prepping the like display material, and then I would usually record them in multiple segments. Some of them I would just do in one take, although the one take ones were either like lower quality or much harder to do, or like like I would take like 20 takes and then pick the best one. But like recording would take like, you know, for like 5 minutes of content, it might take an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours. And then editing was usually pretty fast, and I was pretty sloppy with editing, so that would take like 30 minutes to do. But you're looking at like 6 hours of work for like 5 minutes of content. And so it just like made no sense to continue spending all that effort on it. But with streaming, I basically do like 5 minutes of prep and record for 3 hours and then just blanket upload it. It's, the view counts are about the same, so I don't know, whatever. It works. Okay, so how did this thing work? Oh, this has parallel coverage. That's slightly different than all the other ones, but not a problem. And we have coveralls, which we're getting rid of because Azure Pipelines has built-in coverage reporting. We'll set up a new pipeline for this. I'm gonna do this screen a lot, so you'll see this a bunch of times. Is that the one we're working on? Yeah, PyMonkey. Do you use Nano at work too? Yes, I do. I do indeed use Nano at work, which is both nice and not nice, I guess, because it's Nano. But it also means that when I go to other people's computers, I can just use Nano, and there's no way that they've customized it, so it just kind of works. Which is a silly reason, but I do indeed use Nano at work. Okay, that looks fine. So here we need to make sure that we keep this line, because that's important. But other than that, should be fine. Copy these status badges. We gotta figure out the build ID, which is 49, 43 to 49. Hey, what's up, funky stuff? Bruh, you missed something. Climbing. Yeah, I missed climbing today. Are you... I know you. You are, Which one of my friends are you? But you're right, I did miss climbing at Dogpatch today. Are you on your phone? Are you still at Dogpatch? I usually go climbing on Mondays, but I didn't go to work today, so it was a bit out of You're all of them. Oh, I see. You are all of my friends. What did I miss at Dogpatch other than climbing? But yeah, it was gonna be super out of my way to go into the city, so I just didn't. Super lazy me, skipping the gym. I thought you meant I missed something in code. Well, hello. Hi, B and N. I'm not gonna dox you on stream, but I'll say your initials. There's some good routes for climbing with the new grads now. Oh, cool. Yeah, so there's kind of 2 cliques of lift people that go climbing at Dogpatch. There's the old timers, which we're not really that old. We're like, 2 or 3 years at lift or fewer. But then there's the latest new grad class. Like a good chunk of them go climbing all the time, and so we get kind of 2 cliques and we hang out and go climbing. Hey, what's up, Blue87? Hello, welcome to the stream. Azure Pipelines, skip Travis. Boomers and Zoomers climbing session. You're so right. We also totally say that. Sup, Zoomers? How's it going? Okay, Boomer. Just saw you came online. Gonna get back to climbing. Have a good one. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, friend. Sorry for spamming chat. No, it's completely okay to spam chat. That's what chat's for. What was I doing? Was this patch right? Delete Travis. Update the README. Add Azure Pipelines. Update talks. Yeah, I think that's right. Make a PR for that. Hopefully the tests are passing. Who knows? It's been a while. Probably, I think last time... So I frequently do these things where I update a lot of my repositories at once. Unfortunately, I haven't really been able to automate this one. It looks like the last time I did a sweep like this was in August. Well, I made a release then, so there must have been a bug. Fixes for PEP 451 import hooks. Oh. So there was a bug. I did have to fix something. Oh, I remember what this is. This is... The reason I had to change this was PyTest. This is entirely my fault. PyTest switched from the old... I want to say it's PEP 303. I should just check. PEP 451 is the new one. Module spec type. PEP 302. Okay, I was off by 1. The PEP 302 is the old school import hooks, and PEP 451 is the newer ones. 451 is only in Python 3 or newer, and PyTest is now Python 3 only, at least on the main branches. And so when I went to update the import hook, I was like, well, I'll do this newer, easier spec, but had to adjust some code to make it work properly, including this library. Did I stall for enough time? Have the test started running? Oh, they're running. See what PyPy has to say. Oh, PyPy's passed. Sweet. That was easy. 302 is torture. Did they make it better? Slightly better. Let me show you the one for PyTest. Insertion, rewriting, hook. But yeah, 302 was kind of a mess to get right. Nope, that's the test. Maybe that's not the test. This one. Here we go. So you can avoid a lot of the APIs that you needed to do before. The only APIs you need to implement are findSpec, which takes module name and path and target, and I don't remember what these do. You can oh wait. Path is like double under path in packages. I don't know what target is, and I don't think it gets used. Yeah. Unused variable. But it's in the APIs, so it's still there. And you can mostly piggyback, like if you're, in the case of PyTest, it's mostly piggybacking on the basic importer thing. So we reused the find spec function from the import lib machinery. So most of this logic is just like no need to do anything special. Just reuse this here. Although we do have to do some special stuff for namespace packages, which is a little bit new. You have to implement create module, even if you give it a dummy implementation, which I didn't really understand, and the spec went back and forth on this. Like Pep 451 says that this function is optional, but it's not optional. You have to implement it. You can just make the implementation optional. I thought was weird. And then the third part of the hook is exec module, which gives you a module object and then allows you to populate it with code or whatever. And then other than that, I don't think there's any other APIs. These are all just specifics to PyTest, and you can optionally implement this API, although it's not standard and you don't have to. But it's a little bit simpler now, so it's kind of like multi-phase. Like one is like look up where the file should be, then create the module if you need to. Otherwise, it will create the module for you, and then populate the module with functions. These two parts were particularly... Actually, I want to say they were all like jammed together in 302, and so it was a lot more difficult. Hey, what's up, Valentin Mazhev? Thank you for the follow. Hope you're doing well. And welcome to the stream. What was I doing? Oh yeah, this passed? Cool, this passed. It's another one we can check off the list. Oh, I missed the button, but it's still... I clicked like here? Yeah, you can click slightly off of it and it still toggles it properly. Follow for Nano. Yes, my my Nano stream. I am actually working on my own text editor, if we can do a little segue. That'll eventually replace my usage of Nano. It doesn't do so much right now. This is the like color test mode, which will eventually be used for syntax highlighting, but turns out syntax highlighting is pretty hard, so I'm probably not going to do that until I get most of the other features working. Oh, my music stopped. Why did you stop? Oh, because I forgot to click the loop button. Whoops. That's my B. Okay, fixed. We'll eventually use this for syntax highlighting, but syntax highlighting is hard, so I'm going to defer it until after I implement all the other features that I want. But this is Babby opening Babby. You can like navigate around and stuff and enter text and like new lines and backspace and like the delete key works. And the feature that I've worked on the last week or so, that's like kind of brand new, is undo and redo. So you can like undo and get back to any state that you were at and redo. It doesn't have like tree-based undo, it's just a stack, so it's simplified undo, but it does work. And what other cool things does Babby have? It can open multiple files and switch between the two. So you can see like this is files 1, 2, and 3. And if you have like particular state in each of them and switch between them, it maintains that state. And in fact, it maintains the undo and redo stacks in each of them as well. So you can like navigate around and undo and redo. You can save in Babby. So this saved a file named 3 with the contents ASDF. You can also save like Vim, so you can use :W if you want to, and you'll see that produced. Oops, there's 1 and 3. Yeah, produced a couple of files. Babby has a bunch of different ways you can quit it, mostly for the memes. So the main way to quit it is nano key binding, so Control-X. Which is also the same as the first part of Emacs quitting, which is Control-XC, so it kind of works for Emacs too. But you can also quit it like them with :Q. Just for the lulz. I win too says, how many years have you been programming Python? Python, I've been programming since about 2012. I did a little bit before then, but I don't really count it because it was not really, I had no fucking idea what I was doing. I really had no idea what I was doing. But I've been using Python since about 2012. And it was mostly Python 2.6, a little bit of Python 2.4 when I started. And most of what I do now is Python 3, which is pretty nice. Blue87 says, this code looks big brain from an outside point of view. The text editor code? Yeah, it's a little big brain. It's also kind of small brain because like why am I writing a text editor? Although the structure of the text editor is actually pretty straightforward. Go to the end of the file. It's basically like argument parsing to get file names, and then set up curses, which this is mostly copy and paste. This sets up a curses window and makes that work pretty well. Hey, what's up, Viper110? Thank you for the follow. Curses is the like terminal UI library that I use, which is built into Python. Then it has like an event loop around the files, and so there's 3 different events that it can handle. Either you, while editing the file, either you exit the file, you go to the previous or next. Set those out of order, but whatever, same deal. So there's this event loop, and then inside edit there's another event loop, which is basically like do some stuff, draw the screen. This is not optimized at all. Retrieve a character, and then based on that character do actions, so like handle particular key presses and do various APIs, and then above this is all implementation detail of how each of these are getting implemented. And it's not optimized right now. So any like key press or anything like this redraws the entire screen, which is hilariously wasteful. Although you can't really notice it, like there isn't really input lag unless you grab a big chunk of code and paste it, so you can kind of see the lag there. So you can see how it like paints in one character at a time. And it's worse if you get if you do more characters at once for some reason. I haven't really figured out why, but you grab a bunch of text and paste it, you can see how it's a little bit slower. But I'll eventually do some optimization, and hopefully that'll get fast again. But anyway, it's not optimized. But it's a feature, right? But yeah, that's Babby. Hey, what's up, Shoddy? How's it going? Long time no see. How's the snow? Nakal wrote a small parser for VS Code themes. Might send a PR. I tried to parse TextMate files originally, but I got so frustrated with the XML. Oh yeah, there's 2 forms of the TextMate file. So TextMate, grammar. There's the JSON-like ones, and then there's the XML ones. The XML ones suck. This is the grammar that I was talking about. It's this like pseudo JSON thing, but it doesn't really have a true true format from what I understand. Like there isn't a thing that just parses this. But yeah, this is the I think this is the one that Visual Studio uses. I could be wrong. I went to asks self-taught. I'm just learning. Yes, my original the original code that I learned, or languages and programs that I wrote, were entirely self-taught. I didn't have any formal education in computer science until 2012. Everything before that was all self-learned. And I've been writing code since about 2001. So I had like 10 years of self-taught before any formal education, which was fine. Snow's fine, about 5 to 6 inches. Heavy and wet though. Oh, that's the worst part. It's people on the road who I guess have never driven it in all their years in Michigan. That's the problem. Yeah, a little bit of white stuff on the ground, and they forget how to drive. Which is a bummer. Let's see, what was I doing? Oh, I clicked merge, but I forgot to delete it. We checked off. Cool, we're on to the next one. And yes, I ran git status on a non-git directory. I run git status in ls all the time. I don't even think about it. See, I even ran ls again. It just happens. This test setup is different. Let's make it a little less a little more standard. Azure pipelines. I have a sneaking suspicion that these tests are not going to work. We'll find out pretty soon. Hey, what's up, IWin2? Thank you for the follow. Because Azure Pipelines does not hook up a PTY like Travis does. So I suspect this is not going to work. So I'll have to skip this one and move on to another one. This should be pause args tests. But for instance, if I do cat into talks into cat, or I guess echo into talks into cat, the test will probably fail. It should simulate. I think that should simulate what Azure Pipelines will look like. We'll see. Hey, what's up, Brayden? Thank you for the follow. Hello. Yeah. Okay, so it's this one's not gonna work, so I'm just gonna skip this one. Unknown terminal VS. Oh, that's past me being funny, I think. But yeah, there's no PTY here, so let's see. Maybe someone's already solved this. PTY in Azure Pipelines. Node PTY. What does that mean? Fork pseudo terminals in Node.js. Kind of sounds like what I want. But also not really. Yeah, so I think I'll have to skip this one for now. I'll probably later write some like subprocess wrapper that I'll have to basically set up fake PTYs and do it that way. Ah, that's obnoxious. Whatever, that's fine. We'll just skip this one then. On to the next one. Alpha Gains says, how much math do you really have to do in the workplace? I'm a current CS student. I'm trying to chug through Calculus 3, linear algebra, and discrete. It depends on what stuff you work on. I don't actually use much math at all in my day-to-day in programming, but depending on your field, you might do a lot or a little. For instance, if you're in like physics or like I don't know, mechanical engineering related fields, you'll do a lot more math. And if you're in like machine learning, you'll do a lot more statistics and but I use very little to no math. But I actually really liked math. I spent I almost did a math minor in school. I would have needed to take like one more class to get it, but it didn't fit in my schedule. But I was only required to take like Calc 2, but I took Calc 3 and 4 and linear algebra and a bunch of other stuff. Oh yeah, 3D game programming uses a lot of math. Yeah, I forgot about that. Honestly, the most math that I've done in programming since school is in Advent of Code, which is like a daily puzzle thing. Oh, I'm not logged in, so you can't see. I log in, you'll see my completed 2018, but there was some math in here that I had to like reach back and remember some geometry and stuff and some trig, and I don't think there was any calculus involved, but I had to do some more math than I usually do. The one time I've done calculus a single time in my professional career, and this is it. This is the demo. It ended up being like a full product, but I was able to grab this demo portion. But this, like, the slide here is done with some calculus. And these buttons also trigger it too. But this is like a sliding carousel. And it also works on mobile, so if you happen to open this up on a mobile device, you can also swipe and it'll work. But this was like bleeding edge at the time. There were no, well, I'm noticing slight bugs in it. Like the left edge is there, but the right edge is here. But I don't know. This is a prototype. But this was like right when touch devices were coming out. Like I think the first iPad had come out. And actually, when was that release? iPad release date. Original release date, not the most recent one. The original one. 2010, yeah, so that's about the right, yeah, about the right year. But yeah, I was making a piece of enterprise software, and they wanted a carousel on the iPad so that they could demo it and stuff, and so this was a thing that I built. But that was the one time I used like calculus. But it's kind of a cool little demo. The end state ended up having like image icons inside those boxes and then like a little bit of text, and it was supposed to be like a navigation carousel, so you could like jump to your various things that you were working on, and it was pretty cool. I spent a lot of time working on it. I was pretty proud of it. Why are there 3 branches here? Oh right, because I stopped being motivated on this project. 2010 JavaScript must have been a nightmare. Actually, this one's pretty easy. They're pretty straightforward. It's mostly jQuery, if I remember right. Let's see, just some CSS. Turned off selection. You had to do all these. This was before user select was spec'd as standard. jQuery 1.6, some real old stuff here. But where's the, yeah. This is a lot of like normalization and optimization about how often to run a retry interval. This was originally a smaller? Larger number. This was originally a, yeah. I think this was originally 50, but it was super choppy. But the reason it was 50 is like computers literally could not render that fast back then. And so there was no point in decreasing it below like 30 hertz. But I recently changed this number so that I can flick it around on stream and make it look kind of nice. But yeah, like I have specific code for iPhone. This is the like touch handling here. Anyway, that's how it worked. It's actually not that much code, about 200 and 300 lines of JavaScript, or 200 lines of JavaScript. But jQuery made a lot of the difficult parts easy, and it worked in like Internet Explorer 6, which was wild as well. You could probably code on your phone and it would suck, but it would be possible. Yeah. It was mostly like we wanted people to be able to use the thing on their iPhone as well as the iPad. Which it did work on the iPhone, but I can imagine trying to scroll this damn thing on an iPhone would have sucked. But not my problem. I don't maintain that code anymore. I really wish I had a PC or laptop so I could do this stuff for practice. Oh, that's what you're replying to. I see. I wanted someone to fix my code. What's your code win to? What are you working on? Okay, well, on to the next one. All right, on to the next one. We're skipping by terminal size because of the PTY weirdness. Ruby VM. Oh, that was another project that I never finished. Summary of Ace Tilly projects. A bunch of stuff that's kind of cool, but not really finished. Some of them are finished, but this one was very much not. It works. Let's see, does it have any dependencies? Yeah, it does. I can show you it working. But the idea was to make a Ruby environment manager that didn't suck, I think was what I said. Because there's the 2 popular ones, which is RVM, Ruby Virtual Manager or something like that, and RBenv. If you say them fast, RVM and RBenv, people won't tell the difference between the 2. But they each have like varying problems that I didn't really like. RVM is in my mind the hackier one. The way it works is by overriding CD in your shell, which is like, oh god, why? And RBenv is better, but like generally recommends that you build everything from source, which is kind of slow. And I wanted to make support for Windows was my goal with this, and I never finished it, so it doesn't support Windows yet. But I think you can do this ruby venv renv, and it will produce no output because I didn't finish it, but it does actually, it's doing something right now. And then in theory, I can activate this, and then should have my own Ruby and gem, and I could do like gem install. Oh my god, what is a Ruby gem? FPM? And it should install it into this environment, if I did it correctly. Building native extensions, this could take a while. Oh, I forgot to turn off the documentation. This is always super slow. Super slow. But yeah, the idea was to make like a virtual env like tool, but for Ruby. Oh, it failed. Our doc is not a full. Before reporting this, could you check that the file you're documenting has proper syntax? Whatever. Theory this got installed though. Yeah, so there's FPM in all its glory. And then you can deactivate, and that'll get you out of it, and then deactivate virtual env. And anyway, it's a Ruby virtual environment manager, and it works pretty well. But I never finished it, so it's not a completed project. Zakone Grusha, is this hacking? Well, it could be. All right, now we're a hacking stream. Are we ready? We're doing some hacking now. Knackle Eric asks, how do virtual environments work? It's actually pretty simple. Let me make a virtual env for you. So virtual env actually works slightly different than venv. We'll talk about them separately. Can't really hear my music. Turn it up. Is this the button? Ah, we have the 5 bits from ZippyZoom. Thank you very much. Okay, so the way virtual env works, which is slightly different than VM. We'll do a VM as well. Do I have VM installed? Sure. 500.6 VM. So we'll make one with virtual env and one with the VM module, and compare the two. The VM module is the easier one to explain. So what the VM module does is it symlinks Python and the executables to the system Python. So this is a symlink to user bin Python 3.6, so it knows to like go back and forth and stuff, or it knows to use these modules here. But it also installs this little pyvm.cfg file, which tells some stuff about how this virtual env is set up. So it says like, this is where you should get packages from. It should not include system site packages, and this is the version that it targets. And beyond that, it's basically a bare bones tree of packages. It pre-installs some stuff, so it pre-installs setup tools and pip to make it so you can install packages and stuff. But other than that, that's all the pyvm thing does. You can ignore that. This is a Debianism. You can ignore the Debian parts. That's the source of setup tools, and this is the binaries. So that's how pyvm works. The activate script is maybe what you're actually asking about and how that works. It's actually pretty, like, ignore all the code. The code's like a little bit complicated. It does essentially three important things. It sets the virtual_env environment variable, which doesn't actually do anything on its own. It's mostly just like a helper for other scripts. It exports path, so it puts the bin directory on the beginning of the path so that when you search for Python, the virtual environment stuff comes up first. And then it sets PS1. This is also optional, but it makes your terminal change the name there. So if I do .pm, or like, the actual command is, well, the actual command is dot, but in bash you can use source as a more readable alternative. This will run the contents of that activate script in the context of your shell. And so what that did is it put this virtual environment on the beginning of the path. and it's set PS1, which is what makes this change here. And if we do virtual env, you can see that it points at this directory. So those are the three things that the activate script does. The VM module is slightly different. Or the virtual env module is slightly different. The bin directory looks largely the same, except you'll notice that the Python executable is actually copied in here. This is different than VM, which uses symlinks. And this is to support more inflexible, I guess, distributions where you need to copy the binary in. It's actually going to change eventually, so what I'm talking about for the virtual env module will not be true in like a couple months, because the maintainer is currently working on rewriting it so it works more like PyVM, except in Python 2, because Python 2 does not have PyVM, so it can't do the symlink tricks. But there's another part to this. So the lib directory actually includes symlinks to all of the system modules that are needed for like basic stuff. And there's this, one of these is not a symlink, which is site.py. Site.py is a Python script that runs as part of as part of interpreter startup. So like this is the very first thing that gets imported. And virtualenv site.py does some tricky stuff. Mostly it rewrites the distutils module, and what else? I don't know. It does some other like tricky stuff to make the interpreter work properly. But this is kind of the magic of the virtualenv module. But that's kind of how virtualenvs work. This is too warm. I'm gonna. We're done with the hacking stream. We did it, guys. We hacked them. We won. Open C matrix. What is C matrix? Okay, I've seen this before. Well, we'll do C matrix for you. Oops, apt update and apt install C matrix. Oh, I have to say yes. Dang it. Will I type out this complicated command? Yes, install cmatrix. What else is it installing? Console setup Linux. Keyboard configuration. Oh, now it's asking my language? Why is it asking my language? Keyboard is... They're just like a... English US, 31. 31. 31. 1. That's weird. I don't think I've ever had it... What the fuck? What does this do? Console font configuration. Oh, 27. UTF-8, of course. Choose the character set supported by the console font. 20. Guess for me, please. Hey, there we go. We got C matrix. Now it's hacking stream. We did it. All right, we are lay hackers now. Black terminal background. I mean, it's dark. It's close enough. To use a terminal emulator with split terminals. No, I'm too much of a noob. We have tabs and windows. Hey, what's up, Imminent Madness? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. What we're doing? Getting rid of Travis. Badging the README. Create no hassle Ruby virtual amps. No bash RC, no shims, no CD magic. Yes. Yes, past me. That's exactly what it's about. Oh, did I do the clicky thing yet? I did not. Gotta do the clicky thing now. OSCP certified. What does that mean? I don't know what OSCP is. I'm doing pretty well. It's been a chill day for me. I didn't go to work today, so that part was fine. Ruby VM. Mostly just doing a chill stream where I convert a bunch of continuous integration stuff to this different platform and explain the projects as I go along. So it's easy, like easy chat and like answering questions and just kind of hanging out. It's going well. Yeah. What can I say, I guess? Hacking certification for pen testing. Okay, cool. Gotta hack 5 machines in 24 hours and write a report on it. Interesting. CodeMonkey.js says, can you work from home if you want? Yes, that was my intention today, was to work from home. But my internet was still broken from yesterday. I've managed to somehow fix it. So it should be, like, everything seems to be working now. Yeah, I was having lots of internet problems, and so like I wasn't really able to do work today, so I didn't. Definition 50. 43 to 50. I forgot to do this on the last one, but I can do it here. Azure pipelines and skip Travis. That's what we're doing. Do you help people with problems at work or at home? At work, at work I do a lot of helping people with problems. That's kind of my job. I work at Lyft on the developer experience team, where we build tools and software that are supposed to make developers productive. But it's kind of hard to make developers productive, so we try our best. We also kind of operate as a support team in some ways, so we like answer a lot of questions in Slack and make sure developers know what they're doing and that sort of deal. But yeah, I guess I do, like, I help people, if that's what you're asking. What languages do I write in? I know a bunch of languages. In the last year, most of what I've been doing is Python, but also I've been doing some Go, some Java, some Kotlin, JavaScript, some C, some C++. So that's mostly in the last year. In the past, I've done some Ruby. I've done a bunch of Java. I did some Visual Basic. I did a lot of C#, which I really, really liked. I did a lot of C++. Which I also liked a bit. I did some PHP, I did some Visual Basic, and a bunch of different flavors of SQL. I guess you can count HTML and CSS as programming languages. One of my first programs, I guess not one of my first programs, one of my first programs that I was paid for was in XSLT. And it was blazing fast, but I don't know why. Yeah, extensible style sheet language transformations. But it was an XML program to rewrite XML in XML. Why not only C? Oh, I said C. I've done C and C++ in the last year. What about assembly? Not really. I don't really know too much assembly. Like, I've written some before, and I've written some assembly in like a low-level, not real language when I was in school. So we had this. Let's see, is the spec in here? Spec is not in here. Where is the spec? Oh, here's the spec. I just can't read. Oops, close the tab. We had this assembly language called Little Computer 2000 or something like that. We called it LC2K. Yeah, Little Computer 2000. But it had, I think, 8 instructions. Add, manage, load word, store word, branch if equal, jump to whatever, halt and no-op. And we implemented an assembler and a simulator for it. And so I wrote some code for it. This is a logarithmic time multiplier implemented in this language, using bit shifts and an adder loop, which is pretty cool. I was pretty proud of this. Can't really tell you how it works nowadays though. And the way it worked is like you would have your input. Oh, I guess I can see. Okay, so we load the... These are the two numbers we were multiplying. We load those two. We load the number 1 into a register. Oh, because we didn't have a like add constant instruction. So we had to, anytime you added a constant, you would load the constant and then add it. And then we had a boundary. Read our terminating int. I think this was just like a 1 that was shifted over pretty far. I don't remember how this works exactly. Oh. Oh, this is a left shift 1. I know that much. But it would basically loop through each bit, and when you're multiplying, it would compare the 2 bits, and if they overlapped, then you would add that to the result. And so it's like a bunch of sums. But anyway, that's that. Oh, we're failing. No. Oh, they're all failing. Test integration system. Oh, that's because Ruby's not installed. Aha! That's easy to fix. That's easy to fix. Where's this one? Retest. Use Ruby version. Can't test system Ruby if you don't have Ruby installed. But yeah, I know I can write some assembly if I was forced to. I would read documentation about x86 assembly and then pack it together, but I haven't had a need to, and so why do it if you don't need to? Oh, I guess that's not the only assembly that I've written recently. There was also one for Advent of Code in 2018. And I actually wrote a reverse compiler. Sure, that sounds about right. Is it day 19? Yeah, I wrote a reverse compiler, which... Oh, why do I have failed ideas? That's not it. Was it day 21? Gen C, yeah. So this took this particular assembly language and converted it into C code. It worked pretty well. It was completely unnecessary because solving the problem was more like figure out what the assembly code does and then figure out when the C code terminates. Like, in fact, I'm pretty sure my... Oh, this is the actual interpreter. This is me, I translated the code into this instead of like actually running an interpreter. But there was a mini assembly language there. Why don't you become a full-time assembly programmer? Because I would want to kill myself. That would be awful. I would hate everything. Makes the next roller coaster tycoon. Yeah. CodeMonkey.js says, so how do you make programmers effective at Lyft? Do you write some outstanding tools for them, or what? It's actually a pretty hard problem, because it turns out a lot of developers don't really know what they want, or don't know what would make them productive. And so a lot of what we do is like guessing at things that people would like, and then building it, and if they don't like it, then killing it. It's kind of hard to determine like the best way to approach that, unfortunately. But I'll give you an example of a tool that I built recently that actually kind of changed how we do development in a lot of ways. So before this, all of the tools that we wrote or all the tools and all the testing and all of the like service development that we did was in Docker, and you would run this Vagrant VirtualBox Docker thing on your laptop, and you would develop services inside of it. And it's super flaky. We still use it in some cases, but it's pretty flaky, and people generally hate it. We hate it too because it's just like kind of the worst parts of all bad software. But I wrote this tool called, and we call it LiftVenv. It is a virtual environment manager tool that basically makes Python not suck on macOS. It turns out on macOS, like, it's really hard to get a working Python distribution because you have like Brew, you have System Python, you have like Conda and PyVenv and PyEnv and like 50 different ways to do it, and like install the dependencies in the right order and like all this stuff, and deal with like internal PyPI and public PyPI and all that shit. And so what LiftVenv does is it makes it simple to set up a virtual env, it makes it atomic to update, and it integrates with like PyCharm and VS Code and stuff. And so the idea was like to allow people to run local unit tests and get little squigglies in their editors and all sorts of nice stuff from that. And so I built that, and it turns out people really liked it. So it was like one of those successful tools that we have. But our team also manages like the development environments. So like any of the remote machines that people build and work on, and like how container development works, and like how code synchronization and IDE tooling and like all that stuff is also our team. Do you think it pays off to have a team doing that? Well, if we didn't have a team doing that, no one would develop at all. There would be no developer environments. You would be shit out of luck. You would have, yeah, it would just, no one would get anything done. Oh, I've got to turn it off. Boop, one more done. Which tab was that? This one? Yeah. Just make sure this shows up. But yeah, I think the team is definitely worth it. And in fact, like when I joined Lyft, I was on a team called Provisioning, which was 4 people that managed both the development environments and the production environments. And we were not enough people. There were like 600 developers at the time, and like 4 of us to manage all of that was wild. It was a struggle to keep up with everything. And that team ended up growing to like 10 or 11 people, and then split into 3 different teams. So split into developer experience, which was my team, provisioning, new provisioning, and deploys, managed code deployment and that sort of stuff. And then eventually like those teams have grown, and like my team is split into 2 teams, which is now developer experience, which is still developer experience, and developer environments, which focuses on the dev end stuff. Lord Alpaca 666, this is Lyft. This is where I work. Can you tell me why this code fails on LeetCode? Let me open it off screen first, because I've learned that lesson. An implementation of A2I. Alright, we'll look at it a little bit. So you're taking a string and you're trying to convert it into an integer. I assume. Is that the problem that you're trying to do? Let's see, list. So you're converting into a list of single characters. Please no judge, I am very new. No, it's fine. I'm trying to see what the code does first. If you're skipping white space. Oh, so here's one problem. You're iterating over a list and then modifying the list at the same time. So that's going to cause you problems. So if you iterate over, so if you do like for I in 1, 2, 3, and then do, oh wait, we need to actually make a list. For I in X, if I's, why is this making sound? If I is equal to 2, x dot remove I. So you'll see if I run this. Why did it not run? We'll run it in an actual interpreter. X equals, oh, this is Python 2, I'll use Python 3. For I in X, if I is equal to 2, X dot remove I. Why does that not error? Could have sworn that was an error. Why am I not correct here? One too many spaces. Oh, it just causes the iteration order to be wrong. I could have sworn this raised a like... Oh, maybe that's only for dictionaries? Oh, I forgot to print. But anyway, yeah, so by removing this this number from the list, you're only iterating over these two elements, and so you effectively skip an element. So that's probably, like, this will cause problems. List neg. This will never be true, so that'll be a problem. Because the empty string is not equal to false. JavaScript it is, but not here. But in Python you can also cheat on this problem, because if you just call int, it just kind of works. But I assume that's completely cheating. But the int function kind of does what you want. I think what they want you to do here is iterate over each character and then build up a number based on that. So, like, the way that I would do this... what the fuck? For I in S, if I dot is space continue elif I equals minus sign equals -1 elif I is equal to plus, then do nothing. elif.i.isDigit. So you can use kind of a trick here. So if you read one digit, so say we have the number 1, 2, 3. First we're going to get the digit 1, and our n is going to be 0. We can do kind of a trick here. We can do n times 10 plus 1 will get us our next number. And then when we read 2 after that, so n will be equal to n times 10 plus 1, so n. And then we read the 2, so we would have n times 10 plus 2, and so that'll get us 12, and then the third one will do, so 12 times 10 plus 3, and that's how you can kind of build up a number. It's a trick that I learned a long time ago, and that's kind of the trick of this problem. But and it's probably cheating to use int, so we're gonna use char integer ord. That's what I meant. So this is kind of the way to convert one string into an integer. So we can do that. Ret plus equals ret, or no, ret equals ret times 10 plus ord of I. Actually, let's call this C because it's a character. Minus ord of 0. And so this will build up that number. Otherwise we can say a number, and then once we built that up, at the end we will return sign times ret. That should get us our A to I function. Yeah, so you can see like 123, negative 123, ignore some spaces at the beginning. If we put garbage in here, it'll complain, not a number. And you can put pluses and it'll do something. It's not a perfect implementation. Like you can put pluses in the middle here and minuses in the middle here, and it's kind of just like wrong, but it's close enough. It doesn't support scientific notation. No, not at all. This is A to I, which is ASCII to integer. So a very standard function. But anyway, this is how I would implement it. This is actually one of the functions that we go over in Intro to Programming, which I used to teach at Michigan. Although that's in C++ and Python, so they would usually implement this in C++. It's the same approach there, but you don't have to do this like ORD stuff because a character in a string is already an integer, so you just do like C minus 0. But anyway, that's the trick. Yeah. Hope that's helpful. Why are there no good text editors? Google Docs sucks. Google Docs is fine. Can't make a table of contents. Yeah, there's a table of contents thing. There definitely is one because we use it at work. Let's make a new Google Doc. You know, it's a great programming stream when I'm sitting here making Google Docs. Heading 1, heading 2, subheading 3. Great if I could spell. This would be heading 1, heading 2, and then subheading 3. And then, so there's this outline mode over here, which is helpful already, but then there's insert table of contents. And boom, you have a table of contents. Done. That wasn't so bad. But now I gotta delete this. I don't want this. Delete. Oh right, I forgot about this. This spreadsheet right here, I was trying to figure out the algorithm for horizontal scrolling in my text editor, and so I spent a bunch of time in Google Sheets like doing the math and figuring out like the expected value versus an algorithm using these variables here. I can show you the final implementation of that. But basically when the window is too narrow, it cuts off the lines here. And I wanted to make it so when you navigate to the end of the line, it smoothly updates and goes to the next line and renders kind of nicely. And on like longer lines, that one's not a super long line. This one maybe longer? Yeah, this one scrolls twice, 3 times, and like make sure that that looks nice and still works with like up and down arrows and stuff. But anyway, I did that in Google Sheets to figure it out, which was kind of cool. Shiny Pokemon. Yeah, we do have a shiny hunter. Well, former shiny hunter. Because if you look, I have 100%ed shiny Pokemon. I have caught them all. I have like over 600, or wait, I have 600. Oh, and I just found the number yesterday. I have 656 unique shiny Pokemon. Not including event Pokemon. Those are just ones that I've legitimately caught myself. And yes, it's a lot, and yes, I realize the probability of that is so small. And holy shit, I realize how much time I've spent on this. But yes, I have caught all available legal shiny Pokemon. And it's a little bit kind of cheating. So like when I consider catching all of them, like if I've caught Squirtle, I'm gonna count Wartortle and Blastoise based on evolution. There are some tricks. Most of them were caught using tricks. Some of them were just random encounters. But I can show you some of the different ways you can increase the shiny chance. The first one that was increased was in Generation 4. Everything before that, not really. The one way, where's the... Why does it not talk about it? PokeRadar. This is how I got into shiny hunting, was through PokeRadar, which is this like mini game that you play. It doesn't really finally show you. Let's see, Poker Radar tutorial Smogon. I know there's one on Smogon. Here we go. Yeah, so you'd be in this grass and you'd have like a 4x4 area and you'd press a button and like various things would either like, I would call these the shake ones and I would call these the wiggle ones. Let me make this bigger so you guys can see it. You've got shakes and you got wiggles. You also have shiny patches, but this GIF doesn't show them. And based on that, you would navigate to the different squares. The 4 away squares are the best ones, and you would try and pick those and continue the type and continue going over and over. And the blue zone has an 88% chance, and when you got to a chain of 40, it would improve the shiny chance to like 1 in 200, but only for that one Pokemon that you're playing. And then there's like tips in here, and like there's a dominant strategy, and like I spent a bunch of time like trying to optimize the dominant strategy and like write a program that played it for me, but then I didn't really do that. It's just kind of a fun thing. But anyway, that's how I got into shiny hunting. That's one of the methods that improves the chances. Another one that improves the chances is if you breed 2 Pokemon that are different languages. So you have like say like a Japanese Squirtle and an English Squirtle, and you breed them. In the latest games, they have a 1 in 512 chance of being shiny, for instance. And so like that was one way that I sped up shiny chance. But there's a bunch of different ways that you can improve the chances. But the base chances before 6th gen? Yeah, before 6th gen were 1 in 8,192, which is pretty insane. And some of them I did like full odds, 1 in 8,192. Like some of them were soft reset, some of them were by soft resetting I mean like you would save in front of the Pokemon, talk to it. If it was shiny, you would catch it. If it wasn't shiny, you would turn off the game, turn the game back on, and do that repeatedly. So I did a lot of soft resetting. But I don't know, I could go down the list and tell you like how I caught each of them, but some of them are like not that interesting. Also, I have 12 shiny Bellsprouts, which is just kind of silly. That's the one that I have the most of. And this was because I was trying to catch a different Pokemon and shiny Bellsprout showed up. Nothing I can really do about that. Hey, what's up, Zippy Zoom? Thank you for the follow. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, I've done a lot of shiny Pokemon. It's kind of a problem. Also, I have like when they have gender differences, I've caught one of both gender, which, except for 2 Pokemon, which I'm still kind of working on, and like when I have some free time, I work on it. But like Meganium has 2 different sprites based on what gender it is. So I currently have the male shiny of that. I need to get the female one. For instance, like Gibble also has 2 different shiny sprites. So I have the male one, I need the female one. But these ones I'm going to breed for. Unfortunately, Meganium is kind of annoying because the gender ratio is 1:8. So in all likelihood, I will get 7 shiny Meganiums before I get one of both gender, which is just kind of annoying. But anyway, that's me and shiny Pokemon. Hey, what's up, Imminent Madness? Thank you for the follow. Yeah, begin bot, hard flex right there. Yes, let me tell you about my shiny Pokemon. But yeah. Anyway, that's shiny Pokemon. In fact, I have one of my 3DSs right here, which is I've been hatching eggs on it, so you can. I won't show you. It's not that interesting. I don't have a capture card, so I can't even really show you my games or whatever. But CodeMonkey.js says, "Is Babby your project from scratch?" Yes, entirely from scratch. In fact, it's been 74 commits since I think mid-July was when I started working on it. But it used to be initial empty commit. Initial commit with color test. Yeah, so on July 12th, I had my first implementation. Actually, I can show you the old version of it. I kind of took screenshots as I went with Babby as well. So see, like, Oh, the first screenshot I took was in August, which was like the very basic color test. This was before Babby could read files. Oh. So if we go back to like the very... Oh, I'm already reversed. Go back to here. This was the very first version of Babby. Python 3 Babby. It just exits. It does literally nothing. I think there's a color test though. Okay, so the color test did work, but the first version of Babby did really nothing. What was the first version that did something? Add a test suite and some basic navigation. This is when you could first use like arrow keys and stuff. Obviously typing characters didn't work, but like there was still some like basic stuff. You couldn't go off the edges, but like the navigation made no sense. But anyway, yeah, built from scratch. Originally did not very much, but now it does more not very much. Look at my table of contents. Oh, you posted a screenshot. That's so annoying. Did you type this out by hand, or is this the generated table of contents? Because that's annoying. It's mildly infuriating right there. Fuck Google Docs, yeah. This is the biggest flex I've ever seen. Yeah. Sorry, Knuckle Eric. Open off screen if you don't trust the image. Yeah, I've learned that. I did open it off screen before I opened it on screen. Drop screenshots of your Pokebox in Discord. I need to see. I guess I can hold it up to the camera and I can show you some of them, I guess. Let me go get my 3DS that has my shiny Pokemon on it. I hope you guys can see this. I guess I can make it bigger. Why are you making so much noise? Just want to tell you that alignment fucking annoys me. Yeah, that's pretty bad. How long did it take you before you felt very confident / comfortable as a developer? Confident in like a workplace setting, or like confident on like personal projects. Because I still don't think I'm necessarily like super confident about everything. Like I'm always willing to try out new things or admit that I'm wrong or like work on something that I'm very unfamiliar with. That said, I think I was pretty confident in like, I don't know, after a couple of years of working with it. That's box 10. So like, here's one of my favorite. Oh, how are we gonna do this? I guess I can make this. Can you guys see this? Probably not. Maybe make it bigger. Let's see if I can make it bigger. There. So there's a shiny Rayquaza. There's one box of things, but these are all shiny. Oops. Okay. Like there's some shiny Pokemon. Oh, wrong direction. And then here's like all of my boxes of shiny Pokemon. Like one after another, and you can see like these are still shiny with a little red star. But boxes and boxes and boxes of shiny Pokemon. Yeah. Anyway, there's the last box. These are the ones that I've caught most recently. So like, this is a Chikorita that I recently hatched. But anyway, yeah, it's legit. I do have all of these shiny Pokemon, and yeah. Is my text editor going to be a nano replacement? Yeah, that's kind of the idea. Why is the music so loud? I guess it's not that loud. Slightly louder than I would like. Oh man. Oh wait, I haven't changed this back. I'm giant. Let me change this back. Put me back on normal size. think it was somewhere around there. It must be tragic to find out the new Pokemon game won't support the entire roster. Yes, I'm really sad about Sword and Shield. There's only like 400 Pokemon or something that are gonna work in the new game. Hashtag Dexit, yeah. You're absolutely right, Mindful Fox. Absolutely right. Wait, why didn't this image work? Oh no, is my DNS failing again? Okay, it's fine. Everything is okay. We're good. But yeah, I'm really bummed about Sword and Shield. Yeah. I also don't have a Switch, so who knows when I'll get those games. But then I guess I'll have to make my my spreadsheet not 100% again. Are you boycotting Pokemon still? Yeah, I'm not gonna buy it on release. I might buy it a couple months after it comes out, but like, I'm gonna at least make my stand and not buy it on release date. And if I really want to be the appropriate like mess with sales numbers, you don't buy it before Christmas either. So I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, I'm bummed about it. It like had the potential to be such a great game, but DDoS them. Yeah, I don't think that's the right approach either. I've been trying to start a Pokemon hobby thing as well, making a site dedicated to my Nuzlocke death cons. Oh, Nuzlockes are so fun. Ugh. I don't think I'm entertaining enough to do a Nuzlocke stream though. Also, I get too attached to the Pokemon, which is kind of the point of Nuzlocks, I guess. But like, what's wrong with Pokemon? There's nothing wrong with Pokemon. I don't think anyone would watch my Pokemon streams. Nuzlocke is where you can catch, well, the base rules are you only catch one Pokemon per route, you have to nickname it, and if it faints, it's dead. You have to release it. There's some like modified rules to make it a little bit more fair, like the person that I usually watch, which is, what is his Twitch? Is it just Rob? It's rob.tv, rawb.tv. Okay, it was just Rob. But Rob streams Pokemon. Apparently his stream is offline or broken right now. But he streams Pokemon, and his rules, he catches 2 per route, which makes it a little bit more fair. Oh, the boycotting thing. Oh, mostly that they're not... so there's like 800 some odd Pokemon right now, and the latest games only include like 400 of them. They've basically just been like, Thanos snap, cut half the Pokemon. Which, yeah, all those shiny Pokemon that I showed you can't go onto the newest games, which is a bummer. Huge bummer. What am I doing today? I have a fancy command for it. I'm actually talking about Pokemon right now, but we can get back to what I was working on, I guess. So we're trying to move these last few projects that I have running with Travis CI over to Azure Pipelines and converting their CI, and like I'm talking about the projects as I go and just kind of answering random questions in chat as we do that. But the next one we're working on is this setup CFG format project. Setup CFG format. Let me do the boring stuff first. New pipeline, classic, GitHub. This. Typed too fast, so it broke the box. Acetility.setup CFG format triggers this build. Yes. Azure Pipelines. YAML. Save. Okay, so that's like the boilerplate that I have to do just to enable one thing, which is pretty annoying. In Travis CI, it's literally just flick this switch and that's it. It's like way simpler. But it's a lot of clicks on Azure Pipelines. I've never heard of GitHub Actions. Oh, GitHub Actions is the cool, like, new... what's one that I can show you an example? It's basically a CI system that's built directly into GitHub. So you make this little YAML file which says, like, respond to these events. In this case, it's responding to all pull requests and pushes to the real master branch. Then it's basically just a CI system. So, like, in this case, it clones the repository, installs Python, installs virtualenv, runs make, and then runs make push. And You can pass along secrets and stuff. And so in this case, when I make a commit to this repository, it automatically updates my website, which I haven't updated since 2012. So the content's out of date, but at least like the build system is modern. Automate that process. Yeah, that's true. CodeMonkey.js asks, is Babby going to work on Windows? Oh, and I'll get to your question in a second, Mindful Fox. It will eventually work on Windows. It kind of works right now. I guess command would be the way to show you. Do I have virtualenv? I do. Wait, everything is slightly slower on Windows. Babby already kind of works on Windows, but I haven't fixed any of the keyboard shortcuts, so some of the keyboard shortcuts don't work. VM scripts activate pip install Babby. This is an old version of Babby, and I have to pip install Windows curses. Curses PyPI. So Python on Windows doesn't start with curses by default. But you can install it, and now Babby kind of works. Like, I can type text. I can't backspace. I can press enter, so that kind of works. Can I press delete? I can press delete. So, like, some of this stuff works. Can I do undo? No. Unshift U. I'll have to make a new key combo for redo. Oh, and delete doesn't work, right? But anyway, like, it kind of works. It's, like, kind of working together-ish. But I need to do a bunch of tweaks to make all the keyboard shortcuts work properly. But it shouldn't be too hard. I just have to put the work in. But like, quitting works, and Vim quitting works, so at least it's got the meme features. That's all you really need, right? But yeah, it will eventually work on Windows. How come you're migrating to Azure? So Travis CI was bought by well, the like actual important reason is Azure Pipelines provides 10 parallel builders, which is the largest number in a free tier, other than GitHub Actions, which provides 20, but you know, details. And so that's like twice as many parallel builders as the runner-up, which I believe is Travis with 5. Azure Pipelines also provides 3 different platforms, so I can test on Linux, Windows, or macOS on a single CI system. And the other like really cool feature is you can template your CI. So I have these like job templates here that are pretty complicated. Like this one's almost 100 lines of YAML code, if you want to call it that. But I can like include these. If we look at PyUpgrade, for instance, I can just include these as a template repository and then access those templates and like parameterize them, and it basically allows me to take these 4 lines of code, expand out into 100 lines of code. And in fact, like 100 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So like these 4 lines of code are 600 lines of code, just kind of magically. And then I can version them and update them and like manage them pretty nicely. And I really like this system, and I haven't seen this from anyone else. So, GitHub Actions has a similar thing, but I haven't done too much with GitHub Actions yet. Most of my use of GitHub Actions is so that I don't need to keep secrets in my repositories anymore. Because before, the way you did this with Travis was you would... Where is the file? Oh, did I not delete it? I forget to delete it? I did, I forgot to delete it. You would encode this secret token here. Can I delete this? Oh, I can delete from here. Yeah, we'll just commit to master, whatever, what could go wrong? But yeah, you used to have to generate a personal token and encode it with the Travis encryption tool and do like all sorts of stuff. But you don't have to do that anymore with GitHub Actions because it hands you a token to do the normal stuff, which is kind of nice. Hey, what's up, Nocturnimal? Thank you for the follow. That's a punny, clever name. I like that. Right. But yeah, the next one that I'm porting over is the setup CFG format. tool, and the idea behind this tool is it takes a setup.cfg file and which is like packaging metadata. So for instance, this is the packaging metadata for pre-commit. So it tells like what the package name is, what version is, some like description information, where the URL is, who the author is, it's me, as well as like its license and some like classifier stuff, its dependencies, and all sorts of just like stuff around there. And also like scripts and data that gets included. But anyway, there's like a bunch of stuff that you can configure here. And what this package does is it normalizes all of that information. So it tries to like simplify and like make sure it's consistent and stuff. It also will do like, so it'll do like name normalization. It'll set this if you have a README. It will set up license classifiers if you have a license file and it knows what license it is. It'll set Python requires, it'll set these version specifiers, and it'll sort some stuff. But it's kind of a neat little package that does some little things. Oh yeah, alpha gains, the homeland command is a it's like an inside, like a shitty inside joke. There was this one time where I was streaming a couple weeks ago, maybe it was a month ago, and there were like thousands of Russian, well I assume Russian because it's Cyrillic, Russian bots that spam the chat with this over and over and over and over, and translated, this text is "We will protect our homeland," and so I thought it was funny, so we made a command for it. You fixed all the alignment. I would donate you the big bucks, but I don't have a job and I'm broke. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. But that's good. I'm glad you fixed your alignment. But yeah, that's where Bang Homeland comes from. Oh, I guess September 28th, so almost 2 months ago. But anyway, we're moving this one over to Azure Pipelines. Setup, config, format. When Microsoft pays you the big bucks, you'll donate. I see. The life of a security researcher. Yes, I'm reaching for security. Somehow I feel like this is bigger than it was before. I'm gonna make that slightly smaller. I don't know, somewhere around there. Okay, so if I remember correctly, this package only supports Python 3+, so that makes this a little bit easier. Also 3.6. So no Python 2, and no PyPy, because Travis's PyPy is 3.5, which is unfortunate. Oops. So we want to get rid of Python 2s here. Which means I probably typed this repository, so I want to make sure we update this. Yeah, MyPy, which is a really cool type checker for Python. Make sure that everything still passes. Does. Copy our badges over. Replace demcomp with setup CFG format, and we gotta find ID 51. It's in the address bar. That's how I knew where it was. Do that. What am I forgetting? Am I forgetting something? I think that looks right. Yeah, it would have been nice if I could automate this, but unfortunately, it was not something that I figured out. So hopefully that's good. We need to click this button. So this is a lot of programming by clicking the mouse. Now we wait for CI to run. We can probably get started on the next one, although I've said that the last N times and it hasn't really worked out. Oh, this one's complicated because it involves Go. I wonder if... I forget what the support of Go was last time I did this. Because I wrote all this info and then didn't use it. Oh, Go tool. So there is like a way to install Go, so that's good. Ooh, this is kind of gross. Oh, this is pre-Go modules. Or at least I don't know how to use Go modules, so I wasn't using them. This is the name of the installer task. Elon's, I'm not gonna say that one out loud. You almost got me there. Please don't hack me. I don't know how I would hack you. Do I look like a hacker? Do you want me to look like a hacker? We did the hacker dress up earlier. But anyways, we'll talk about this next one. But I don't know if that I'll be able to port it because it's Travis CI is a little bit complicated. Actually, it shouldn't be so bad. Shouldn't be so bad. Yeah, it should be fine. So this tool or this library is a way to build CPython extensions in Go. So you can write Go code and then link it into Python and run it. I originally wrote this, kind of a long roundabout way to write this. I originally wrote this for a tool called, so originally, the original idea, I maintain a Git and Git hooks and like linter, formatter, etc. framework called Precommit. I originally wanted to write a linter for Docker files. That was my original idea. But it turns out like all of the parsers for Docker files are kind of crappy. Like there's a Python port and there's a JavaScript port, but they're all slightly different from the actual implementation. So I wanted a way to use the actual implementation, and I didn't want to write a bunch of Go. was the like actual bottom line. Is like, don't want to write a bunch of Go, want a Docker file parser. And so I figured out that I could just pull the Dockerfile parser out of the original, out of Docker's implementation and just use that. And so I started hacking on this, but then I wanted to call it from Python, and I realized that like Go has a like C interop, and Python is CPython. So I was like, oh, surely I can make C code talk to other C code. And so I wrote this library to bridge that and make it easy to set up and install. And then I used that to write this Dockerfile library, and then I never wrote my linter. But maybe one day. But this actually works to do a parsing of a Dockerfile. So you can see like we parse out from Ubuntu Xenial and then command echo hi, for instance. And it works. But I never actually used it. Zakone Grusha says, you could go on Over the Wire and learn some Linux hacking. I mean, I make enough like not hacking. Also, I don't really want to get in trouble for hacking. I do some like security stuff on the sides. Like I do a lot of like fun web security stuff. But like, I don't know. I'm more of a security hobbyist than a elite hacker man. Goomback says, always like the stream. Well, thanks for stopping by, friend. Hope you're doing well. Sweet, this one's passing. So I can click that little switch and where was this? Merge this PR. Web security people. Hey, what's wrong with web security? I mean, most of my... Is that true? Most of my employed time has been at web-ish companies or working on web things. So web security has been kind of important to me. But yeah, the tricky bit with this one and porting it to a different CI system, we're not gonna do the Windows stuff. The Windows stuff is actually pretty complicated here. Where is that at there? The problem is, on Windows, setup tools Golang only works for 32-bit Go only works for 32-bit Python and 32-bit Go due to weird quirks of the way Python picks the Microsoft C library and matching that with the Go library, like dealing with all sorts of annoying binary compatibility. And I've not yet figured out a way to install 32-bit MinGW in Azure Pipelines, so I don't think I'll be able to port this one over. So we'll keep AppVeyor around, but we'll port the Travis CI stuff here. Since the Travis stuff is just super straightforward, it's literally just like install Go and run Python. Although this might be tricky. We'll see what that does. I might need to fix that one a little bit. But yeah, let's get started with that one. GitHub, Acetilly, setup tools, Golang. So I have all these tabs. Go away, tabs. We don't need all of you. Okay. All right, I don't have Steam Locomotive installed. Been learning to code still. Things are starting to click. That's great. That's awesome. Knackle Eric says, apparently if you drop a USB on the floor, there's a 50% chance of someone putting that into a computer. Drop a ton of USBs with malware on it. Easy hacks. Yeah, I think that's true. Oh yeah, so TOP here. So the tests for this thing use a library called coverage enable subprocess, and the way it works is on interpreter startup, it like bootstraps the coverage internals, and one of the things that it does there is it templates out this file, which currently sets this TOP variable. And I think I can switch this to PWD and everything works, but I forget how it gets set up. Oh, so this is where it gets set there. So, nice thing is I can answer my own question because I know I've done this somewhere before. All repos grep coverage enable subprocess in requirements files. Okay, so these are the 3, 4, 5 places I've used this. Oh, I don't know if any of these are using Azure Pipelines yet. This one might be. No, that's not. This one is. I know this one is, so I can look at that one. But in theory, I just used PWD for it. Let's see. Oh, I used PWD. Cool. And we can actually look at the commit where I changed it, because I probably was... Oh, it wasn't before. Huh. How did this work? Oh, okay, yeah, it's the same sort of trick here. But yeah, it mostly just like makes coverage work better when you're dealing with subprocesses. What are you working on today? I'm doing some tedious stuff. I'm moving over CI checks to a different platform, but also like explaining the projects as I go along and kind of just chatting with chat. And it's mostly straightforward. Hey, what's up, Antimage7 or Anti-Mage7? One of the two. Who knows how that word splits? But thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. What is good about Azure Pipelines? It has a lot more parallel builders than other free tiers do. It's also, I'm also concerned about Travis CI going away due to the parent company that recently purchased it. And I don't know, it also has template-based CI configuration, so I can like use a short amount of code and then include like a macro from another a repository where I've set up like templates, and I'll show you those in a second. But yeah. Antimage7 says, hello, I only know C# with Unity and .NET, so I don't know anything about this. I do have the book Automate the Boring Stuff with Python, though. Yeah. Well, I've heard that's a good book. I haven't read it myself, but I hear it's good. Most of the stuff that I'm doing today is actually just like clicking around on stuff and explaining the tools that I'm working with. But here we're going to replace top with PWD. And the reason is kind of tricky here. PWD is usually set by the shell, so as long as you have a shell, this is probably going to point at your working directory, which should make it just work in CI. It's a little bit tricky. Top PWD. Actually, I don't even think I need to do this here. Oh, we're also killing this file, but might as well fix it while we're there. Top to PWD. Huh, I find it really interesting that I also do this here. I think I can just kill that line. Famous last words, right? Top PWD, yes. Okay, so we're testing it against 110, 111. What are the most recent Go versions? And what does GoTool support is the more important question. It's like 1.13 and 1.12 are the most recent ones. What does GoTool support? It doesn't say. Help me know? Nope. It's on GitHub, so maybe we can figure out. GoTool. Wait, what is Go v0? How is that different than GoTool? Or is this just an alias? Golang. I don't think I've ever seen anyone write it like that. This is also very similar to the job template that I wrote. The one that I actually care about, right? Go language release page. Oh, so it just supports any of the versions. Cool. I guess that makes it easy. My favorite thing that you've taught me is how many things you look up. I used to think people had all this stuff in their mind. Yeah, no, there's no way. I spend almost all of my time like Googling or Stack Overflow or reading the docs or grepping around. I think being a good programmer is not really about like how much shit you memorize. It's more like how easily you can figure out problems. And I think the problem solving part is much more useful than the like book smart stuff. But if you had both, then I don't know where I'm going with that. Let's see. So we do have to do a little bit of trickery here. So before, what was it testing before? We were testing 2.7, 3.6, and PyPy. Not very much, but we'll also test 2.7 on 2 different versions. So we'll copy this one. Actually, we'll test 3.8 on 2 different versions. Like, who cares about 2.7? But we need a little bit of trickery to make this work properly. And look at how the template is set up. Python talks. So we need this name postfix. Go 112. Go 113. And then we need a pretest. I need to figure out what that looks like. Actually, I wonder, I bet I've done this before. All repos grep go tool in YAML files. Huh. Yeah, this looks exactly the same. Although that's much nicer. Let me do that instead. Go 112 and go 113. And we copy this. Oops, made the window too small. 112 and 113. So in theory that should work. We'll see. 10x engineers never look up talks. Yeah, it's a meme. It's let's see, 10x engineer tweet. Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. I'll link it in the chat. I'll let you read it, but it's a joke. Well, I don't think it's. I don't think this guy was joking, but this has become a joke. All of this is just like super wrong. In fact, it's like Gen X engineers' laptop screen background is typically black. They always change defaults. Their keyboard keys, such as I, F, X, are usually more worn out than A, S, and E email senders. Just like complete garbage. But it was a meme that went around for a while. I'm gonna ignore this notification as much as I want to click on it. Can look at Twitter later. But this should work. Famous last words. You put the badges in. But we want to keep this badge and reorder those like that. And we need to change the build number, which is 52. That should work. You joke, but damn. What am I talking about? Oh. What's it called? Oh wait, I have three friends that work there? Oh, Rosita works there? Huh. Interesting. Yeah, they pay well. Reasonably well. Oh, oh wait, does it really say that? Oh my god. No way. We are a team of 10x engineers that lead the principal vulnerability. Oh my god. I gotta show my friends this. It's hilarious. Anyway. It's so funny. As a result, we 10x the ROI of our manual labor. Christ. Oh boy, that's something else. Zimpact, yeah, there we go. Mindful Fox with the lift memes. Azure pipelines. Great if I could spell. Oh yeah, but anyway, I said it very quickly, but the cool thing about my template here is like, this is kind of like the base that you would set up normally. So like you would inherit this Python talks template. It would know how to install Python and run it against these various versions. And it would pick the operating system here. But I also added a way to expand on it. So in this case, I needed to pre-install Go before I run any of these Python tests. So this is kind of a way to add extra steps to it that let you customize the job a little bit. It allows us to test in Python 3.8 and in Go 1.12 and Go 1.13 at the same time. I'm looking up CI/CD. Is GitLab CI/CD good? Seems like you could keep your code and the builds together. I mean, that's the same idea with this as well. Like, the code for the CI is here, but it's also here. I have not worked that much with GitLab stuff before. I currently maintain one project that uses it, GitLab, which is Flake8, which is a linter for Python. Or I guess, more accurately, it's a linter framework for Python. I don't actually... Well, I guess I do maintain one of the actual linters. But yeah, we use GitLab CI for this, although it's super simple. It's just like install pip, install the requirements, set up code cove. I don't know if this token's a secret or not, but it's certainly in the source. And then just run talks on a bunch of things. But like, for instance, this is like 80 lines of code, whereas this is like 20-ish. Well, minus all this up here, but 34 lines, sure. But similar like approaches there. Did I actually click the button? I did not click the button. Okay, top to PWD, delete Travis, add the badges, Azure pipelines, get rid of top, change to PWD, which hopefully work. Oh, do I use coverage combine here? Oh, I forgot to rewrite the talks file. That's what I forgot. So we need to put this back and this back. It's not too hard. When you finish this, can we see it run? Yeah, sure. We will actually see it run as part of this. Okay, so that should be good. And I've done a bunch of these. This is like the 4th one I've done today. I have 2 more after this. Then I'll hopefully be a little bit faster. This one I had to explain a lot more stuff. But yeah, it's still going to run the appvar tests, which is the Windows tests, and we talked about why I can't quite move those over yet, due to 32-bit compilers in the year 2019. But yeah, so that config expanded out into all of these different configurations. So you can see, like, we have the pre-commit job up here is the very first one. Then we have the Go 1.12 job, which is expanded out here. So Go 1.12, Python 3.8. And then this expanded out into all of these Go 1.13 jobs here. And so you can see, like, all of those expanded out. Hey, what's up, Joe Lance? Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream, friend. And like, the pre-commit job is slow the first time it runs because it has to install everything. But I recently added caching to this, so now it's super fast the next time it runs. But let's see, has any of these progressed further? The answer is no. Oh, this one's further. How long does the go tool? It took 7 seconds. That's not so bad. I guess they pre-cache all these. That's pretty good. Hey, what's up, Tim? Thank you for the raid. Get hyped. What is this doing at a high level? Seeing if your project can run on all those. Oh, I guess let me explain what I'm doing for the raiders first. Let's hop off to bed. Good night. Well, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the raid as well. Enjoy the turtles. So I'm actually not working on a super interesting thing today. I'm mostly moving some CI around and explaining various projects. There's the bang today command. How goes the open source Python programming? It's going well. I'm moving off of Travis CI and onto Azure Pipelines for CI for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that it provides more free tier parallel builders. So in this case, I have I have 8 builders here, testing a matrix of Go versions and Python versions to make sure that this Go Python interop thing works properly. So it provides more free tier parallel builders. I'm not afraid of it going away. The company that bought out Travis CI a while ago has a history of buying open source software and then like slowly throttling them away. Including they fired half of the devs that work on Travis CI already, so there's already some writing on the wall that it might not stick around for too long. And then the last like kind of cool reason is I can provide templates for CI and like reuse those in a versioned way. So for instance, one common operation that people use when they're testing against Python projects is to run talks, which is like a generalized testing tool, kind of a make replacement, runs a bunch of commands, validates them, etc. But you have to do like a lot of setup to kind of get that working right, and like maybe you want to publish wheels afterwards or publish coverage results or like all sorts of other stuff, and like, you know, there's like 100 lines of code here to run talks, but it shouldn't be that complicated in every single project. So what you can do is create a template repository, and then you can just include them. So this is the like inclusion stuff, and then you can set parameters on them. So usually it's just these 4 lines to set it up. This is some special stuff that I'm doing for this particular project, and this would say like use Linux and use these versions of Python to test it. And the reason that I test on a bunch of different versions is I want to make sure that the code works on all of those different target versions. Like, people are using Python 3.6, I want it to still work there. People are using PyPy, which is an alternate implementation of Python, I want it to work there as well as Python 2.7. But one day, pretty soon, I will stop supporting Python 2.7. But anyway, it runs all those, and the template basically parameterizes these out, and so like this, I don't know, 7 lines of code? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can't count, whatever. Somewhere around 10 lines of code expands out into like 600 lines of code. So all these jobs are kind of templated and magical, and it's pretty awesome. But anyways, that's the TLDR about what I'm doing and why I'm switching, and it looks like this next one passes, so we can turn this guy off and press the merge button here. But yeah, it's pretty neat. I think so too, Mindful Fox. And like this extension point works pretty well. The original version that I wrote didn't have this extension point, and then I quickly realized, oh, not everything is the same. I'm gonna need some special snowflakes in some places. So I added that little escape hatch there. Close some tabs because we looked at all of these already. And then we're on to the next project. This one, actually we're on to the last project because we're gonna skip this one because it's special. I guess I'll explain it first though. So this project is called Watch Pliz, and the TLDR for this is my employer. I work at Lyft right now. Lyft uses GitHub to do a bunch of development. Oh, I can't even open it because I need a 2-factor. Not doing that. So Lyft uses GitHub for its development. They have like 2,000 plus repositories, and I do not want to watch all those because I would just get emails for days and be like eternally drowned by email spam. But I'm pretty active in open source. This loads. If this loads on first try, that'll be a surprise for me. Because usually it doesn't load. Yeah, this is what happens when you load my GitHub profile most of the time. Come on, please load. Please, 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 please. Yeah, there we go. We got the cache the second time. But yeah, I spend a lot of time working on open source, and so like it's important to me that I get email notifications about stuff that I work on. So I want email notifications, but I don't want them for Lyft. And if you look in the settings tab, this is going to be a risky click. Please don't show too much information. Where's the notifications? Yeah, so there's this automatically watch repositories. When you're given push access to a repository, automatically receive notifications for it. I uncheck this because when repositories get created at Lyft, I don't want their emails at all, but I still want them for my personal projects. So what WatchPliz does is it scrapes all my repositories, and then I have a blacklist of orgs that I don't want to watch from, and then it'll watch all the other repositories. So that's what that's for. But unfortunately, the Travis config for this is not as simple as I want it to be, and I need to do some research on how to do cron-based builds in GitHub Actions, and so I'm going to do that later. It's more complicated than I think, or more complicated than I want to like deal with today. Why doesn't it load? It's because I'm a power user, because I do too much on GitHub, and so it's just too much GitHub for GitHub to deal with. I don't know the exact reason why. I'm surprised it shows this. Huh. Because usually to show information about a private repository, you have to be authenticated and two-factored, but it's showing stuff about this without it. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, I have too much activity, so GitHub takes forever rendering this page. And the reason it works the second time is it caches it, and then after that, the page load works fine. But caches is the TLDR. But yeah, we won't be moving this one over today, so we'll be doing just this very, very last one. A project called YesQA, which is actually kind of a cool project. So let me show you the problem space first. Pip install Flake8. So Flake8 is a linter that is very popular in Python. And if you have things like unused imports, why is the music muted? Oh right, we remember the point of this song is muted, right? If you run Flake8, it'll tell you that there's an error on this line, and you can actually ignore that by using this no QA comment. So that'll make that error go away. But the problem becomes if later you actually use that module. So let's say like we print the abs path, which prints the full path to this repository. Flake8 doesn't actually care that this no QA is still there, so it's now ignoring a thing that's not actually ignored. But if you install YesQA, it's kind of a pun, like the opposite of no QA is YesQA, and you pass that file name to it, it'll rewrite the source for you. So if we open up t.py now, it automatically removed this comment because it knows that it no longer needs to lint that line. And it's also a little smarter than that. So if we did like no QA f, I think it's, what was it? F401 and let's say E501. This is line too long. I happen to remember that code for dumb reasons. But if you were to use a no QA with this specifier saying like only ignore these codes, YesQA is smart enough to simplify this to just the one that it needs to ignore. So it knew like, oh, you're ignoring E501, but that line that error doesn't actually appear here. So it kind of auto fixes it for you. So that's the concept behind YesQA. You can also use it as a pre-commit hook, so it can run on changes and stuff. But yeah, that's the idea behind YesQA. XD123 says, have you ever struggled to putting in the work when coding, or do you like it? I really enjoy programming, but there are some times where I'm working on stuff and I'm just like, man, fuck this project. I really don't want to. It's so much work. But Yeah, most of the time I'm completely fine writing code, and I don't really struggle with motivation and stuff. But there are sometimes, yes, there absolutely are sometimes. Also, I have ADHD, so sometimes it's a real struggle to stay focused. But most of the time, like, it's not so bad. Kubak says, how did you get into open source? Have you just gotten good at getting up to speed? I'd like to help, but everyone has whatever style guide. On top of that, it's also hard for me to understand what all is going on. Ooh, I get this question a lot, and my answer varies a lot, I think. For me, I started getting into open source by mostly by just contributing bug reports, and so like describing why something is broken and how it would be better if it worked in a different way, as well as feature requests. But then I realized, hey, I'm a programmer, I can just like try and fix these things. And so I started like contributing small fixes to things and like helping out on projects and stuff like that. And I also around the same time created my own like kind of large open source project, which is where because this thing integrates with a lot of other stuff, I kind of deal with a bunch of other tangential software. So like it deals with JavaScript and Go and Ruby and like all sorts of other different programming languages, as well as a bunch of different Python tools like pip and virtualenv and all sorts of things around there, and linters and code formatters and a bunch of stuff like that. So by creating this framework, I necessarily had to learn a bunch of stuff about a bunch of other things, and also ended up like contributing to other stuff as well. And that's kind of how I got into open source. I think so. You mentioned like how have you gotten good at getting up to speed? I think for me, my discovery, like I think like the biggest part about getting up to speed is being able to discover how things kind of work. And if you take away nothing from this but just these two commands, these are probably the most important commands that I have learned in dealing with Git and dealing with repositories. The first is git grep, which basically just takes, it's like grep, but it works on the files that are checked in. So let's say I wanted to find all of the tests in this repository. I would do git grep for def test, and that would say, oh, here's where all of the tests are. You can also limit it to particular files. So let's say I wanted to grep for, do I have any classes in this file? No. Let's say I wanted to grep for functions. This gives me all the functions, but let's say, oh, I don't want tests. I just want in this file. So you could find these are functions that are defined not in my tests, for instance. So git grep, pretty amazing. Definitely a huge productivity tool. The other one that I find that's super productive is git log-G. And this tells me like, let's say if I wanted to see when this function was introduced or changed. Git log-G is search all of the history for changes to this regular expression. So if I want to see like when did I change this function, you can see like that. And if I use p, you can see the patches that I did for that. So if I did def, what was the function? Get ld flags. So you can see here I changed a line that mentioned get ld flags, and here's where I implemented it for the first time. Or maybe I just moved it. I slightly moved it. But anyway, like those are probably like the two commands that, like, if you get nothing out of this, git grep and git log-G. It takes a pattern. They both take patterns. But anyway, that's how I learn how a project works. Style guides are often tricky. Like often your first contribution to a project, someone's gonna need to touch your code slightly, and that's fine. I would like encourage you not to get discouraged about nitpicks of style. That said, part of the point of pre-commit is that you stop bickering about style, and it kind of like automates all this sort of stuff for you. And so a lot of like projects have started adopting this and like automatically enforcing their style guides so that you don't have to worry about it during a code review. Because the cool thing about pre-commit is you basically like have this declarative file that says these are the tools that I want to use. So like black is a code formatter, these fix white space, this makes sure that YAML is fine, etc., etc. You make this small configuration file, you set up and install pre-commit, and then it knows how to install and run these tools and make sure that your code is nicely formatted or properly linted or any of the different things like that. So in this case, like, it fixed some white space for me. And so now you, just by adding this to your project in your CI, you no longer need to worry about, oh, well, your code's bad because you have trailing white space, or like your function was formatted wrong. It's like Black will just reformat it for you. And so that kind of helps with that a lot. Ciro Kadei says, I'm a beginner hoping to be a Python programmer someday. Can you recommend a path, courses, or books? So there's tons of free open resources on this. So I would suggest like doing free stuff first before you like trying to get into classes or other stuff like that. One that I suggest is learnpython.org, which is pretty good. There's a lot of great tutorials on YouTube about learning Python. There's a book that someone recommended earlier. What was it called? It was Automate the Boring Stuff with Python, which is apparently free online. You can download it. But yeah, I would suggest like starting with like just free resources first. And I think the best way to learn a programming language is have a project in mind and then like build that project. And it helps if like the project is something that you're personally invested in, so that you're motivated to work on it. And also you'll like spend time learning the associated technologies to make things to make that work out. That's my advice. But yeah, let's set up this last build pipeline so I can click this for the last time for a while. Oh, man, I typed too fast, so this button, there's like a race condition where if I'm typing while it's doing the checking, this button won't be enabled, so I have to go up here and backspace and press the button again. Just too fast. Just click in these boxes, don't worry about it, I've done this a bunch of times already. But yeah, now we'll go set this repo up. I think this one's pretty standard from the rest of my repository setups. It should be very straightforward to move this one over. Git clone, github, acetyli / yesqa. And you'll notice like all of my repositories here, I have this pre-commit configuration, which I talked about earlier, which basically lists all of the linters and code formatters that I use. And so when I commit, you'll see the output that looks kind of like this when I commit, and that's pre-committed doing that. Hey, what's up, Baddest Calf? Sorry, I probably mispronounced your name, but welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Do I have anything special in talks? No coverage combined. Copy that there. Copy the Azure pipelines. We can remove Travis and grab these badges. Did I typo that? Felt like I typoed that. No, it's fine. We gotta grab that definition ID from here, which is 53. Replace 43 with 53. Is that it? What am I forgetting? Do this, but it's not necessary. Pewty Wheat says, do you think a job coding in C is going to be worth it? Well, welcome back, Pewty Wheat. Haven't seen you in the stream in a while. I mean, I wouldn't want to write C as a living. It's fine. It's like an okay language. It's just like, it's 2019. we have like better ways to do software nowadays. That said, like I enjoy writing C. But I don't know how a business can be super sustainable in C unless they're doing like low-level hardware stuff, which like then fine, makes sense, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Probably fine. Goomback asks, do you like the problems you write code for at Lyft? I don't know, maybe a loaded question. If you could work anywhere, do any certain industry, what would it be? I like what I work on. My passion, and like this is sort of reflected in my open source software. Like my passions are like code quality and testing and developer tools. And like those are kind of the like theme that all of my sort of projects that I maintain and work on kind of get tied together around. And my current position at Lyft, I work as on the developer experience team where I build developer tools, which aligns really well with all of that sort of all those sort of things. So I really enjoy what I'm working on. I think if you asked me what my ideal job would be, it would be someone paying me to work on open source all the time and my own projects where I can dictate what I'm working on. I think that would be the coolest job. I don't think it's realistic. I don't think it would ever happen. But if I could be in a place where a company is sponsoring me to build open source tooling, that would be great. That would be my ideal. But I don't know that that's realistic at all. Hey, what's up? Sagic? Sorry, mispronounced that, but thank you for the follow and welcome to the stream. But yeah, I don't really care so much about industry as long as I'm not selling my soul somewhere, basically. Although I resonate with Lyft's missions and goals and stuff, and I think like Lyft is generally a positive company. And like the company culture is decent, like all that other part is there and nice. But like I don't know, I worked at an advertising company before that. If you consider Yelp, I mean I say that jokingly, I guess. Yelp is kind of an advertising company, that's how they make all their revenue. But I used to work at Yelp and like that was fine. Is that the nice way of saying C is for boomers? Maybe. I've been trying to catch you live for a couple of weeks. Big fan. Always watch you on YouTube. Hey, well, nice to finally. That sentence got away from me. Nice to finally see you in the chat and caught me live for at least a little bit. I don't know how much longer I'm going to stream today because it's getting a little bit late for me. Does Mozilla sponsor people to do that? Probably. I don't know. I almost worked. Yeah, this is a fun story. Last time I was interviewing for new jobs, I basically interviewed at a bunch of different companies, just to like, I don't know. I didn't have a job, so I was like, I'm gonna get a job by talking to a bunch of different companies. But one of them I interviewed at was purely, like I was doing it purely for interview practice. Not that I really needed interview practice, because I ended up getting offers from all of the jobs except for the one where I walked out of the interview, because I was like, fuck this, I'm never working here. But one of the companies that I was interviewing at was MongoDB, and not once during any of the interview cycles did I refer to it as MongoDB. I always referred to it as MangoDB, including when I was talking to their VP, and no one called me on it. Everyone was just like, oh, this guy must have a fucking weird accent or like brain aneurysm or something. But I would never want to work at MongoDB, probably because I don't really like their tech. Like, I don't think their database is a good idea, or their key value store is a good idea. But I would have made a shit ton of money if I would have worked there. Whatever. Hindsight 2020. But the position that they were offering me was actually really cool. It would have been to work on their open source language bindings, and basically work on open source software in a bunch of different programming languages all the time, which would have been great. I would have enjoyed working on that, and it would have given me an opportunity to like work on open source. It wouldn't have been my open source software, but it would have been like contributions that I could show publicly, which would have been still pretty cool. But I don't know, didn't didn't really want to work on at MongoDB. Goomback asks, are you able to pull your tools in at work and get some time to work on them there? Or is there some kind of weird conflict of interest up there? We do use a lot of the software that I work on at work. So we use Precommit, we use Flake8, we use PyTest, we don't use Talks. We use like my Dead Snakes packaging. We use a bunch of the software that I use at work, or that I wrote at work. I don't technically have time to work on it at work. Like, no part of my employment allows me to work on open source. It doesn't mean that I don't do it. Sometimes I do work on open source at work, but shh, it's our secret. But yeah, I don't have any like explicitly allotted time to work on open source, which is unfortunate, but whatever. Hey, what's up, KP Hippie? KP Hippie. Sure, that's all I'm going with. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. What's a shit ton? Well, we can look at their stock. Stock, MongoDB. Oh man, this just makes me really sad now. God damn. Wow. Well, let's see. Year to date. So I had options at $18 a share. And assuming that I would have held them and sold them at, well, we'll say optimistically at $152 a share. That would have been, oh, it hurts. It's so much money. It's like 10x what I would have put in, almost 10x. I mean, what was their peak? Peak was why does it say 127? Oh, 184 was their peak. Yeah, so basically it would have 10x'd my my option value. So 90% of that would have been take home before tax. 60% of that, and it was like well, it probably would have been somewhere around like $500,000 to $1 million, just from that, just from the IPO, and then like additional vesting after that. So it would have been a lot of money, but whatever. It's fine. I don't do it for the money. Like, I mean, I do kind of work for the money, but it's not the fulfilling part. Hate for document DBs is greater than their cool role. And there are places where document DBs make sense. But I think like a lot of cases you don't need them. Azure pipelines, Travis, Are you into AI? No, I haven't done any machine learning or AI stuff. I did really like statistics and stuff when I was in school, but haven't really applied that at all in modern day me, where I mostly work on very simple problems. Well, I work on people problems more than anything else. Building tools that make people productive, I guess. Bartlord says, just downloaded 32 gigabytes of Garfield, bought 2 chalupas, made a double chalupa out of them, and I'm ready to watch people on Twitch do things. Oh, said everyone who was in Bitcoin pre-boom. Oh wait, is that talking about something else, or are those related conversations? Either way, it's pretty funny. What did I study in school? I started in biochemistry. I spent 2.5 years doing that. And then in the middle of a lecture, as a professor was lecturing from his own textbook that he required us all to purchase at $300 a pop, I was like, fuck this noise, and walked out, and then switched majors to computer science, which I completed in 2 years, which I would not recommend. It was a struggle. I also had to like cheat the program in order to complete in 2 years. Like I had to I had to take some classes and their prerequisite at the same time, which you're not supposed to be able to do. But fortunately, I had a friend. I had a lecturer who had good tenure in the department, and she was able to pull some strings for me and get me into classes, which I shouldn't have been able to get into. But at that point I had been programming for almost 10 years, and so and I had industry experience, and it wasn't really a question of like whether I could do it. It was just like a question of whether I could check the boxes for the major to get the degree. But yeah, so I graduated with a degree in computer science and a minor in biochemistry. What's the trick to getting an offer from every interview? So I think for me, it's a combination of a couple of things. And honestly, interviews are kind of shitty. So like you can prep for interviews and like be completely crap at the job, but like ace interviews and be fine. Hey, this passes. Let me uncheck this little box while we're not waiting for that. Yeah, like you can prep for interviews and like kind of cheese them pretty well. But I think like for me, the reason that I was a good candidate for all of them was I had I had a decent amount of industry experience. So that was like getting in the door in the first place. I had a considerable amount of open source projects and contributions. I had a wide array of skills in a bunch of different programming languages, technologies, and like techniques and stuff. And then I'm pretty good at critical thinking, so I was good at like answering programming questions on the spot. And I guess so there were like kind of two types of questions or three types of questions. One of them were like whiteboard coding or laptop coding questions. Those are kind of like you kind of get like the same like 20 types of questions there. So if you know those, like you can basically just like do those pretty well. Then there's the like personal experience questions, which I think are the hardest ones. You have to like talk about yourself and like tell me a part tell me a case where you had a disagreement with another engineer and how you resolved that, blah, 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 blah. Fucking hate those questions. They're so bad. But like once you basically, as long as you curate like 3 or 4 stories that can kind of meld to any of those sorts of personal experience questions, they're pretty easy to just like regurgitate on the spot, and like you get good at like bullshitting the same stories over and over. And in fact, like one of the things that I frequently do like interview training for other people that are like looking for jobs, and like, okay, we'll sit down, we'll go through these personal questions, and like write out a story. You're gonna reuse this story in a bunch of different places to talk about that stuff. Do that. That's like personal experience. I also like have them build up a story about how they got to where they are today, and like a short and a long version of that. The long version is when you want the long version is when you're in an interview and you're like, I'm not so comfortable with what question they're going to ask me, so I'm gonna stall as much as possible talking about personal experience, and then like use that as an excuse to not complete the question as much. Which is like kind of a scummy strategy, but it works so well. And if you can like talk about yourself and have like interesting conversations about like things that you've built and explain the problems you solved and like how you solved them, that's actually like really useful in interview processes. And then the last type of question is like design and architecture sort of questions, where like it's like, here's an abstract problem, build whiteboard design a blob diagram of the systems and how they would integrate with each other, and like APIs and database schemas and like deployment packages and that sort of stuff like that. And for those, I usually recommend learning 2 basic system, or maybe like 3 different basic system designs, but like the 2 most important ones are like, one is like a relational database core with some database technology that you know really well. For me, it was MySQL, and know like how you scale that. So like for MySQL, you tend to do MySQL replication, where you have a master, you can promote a second master, and it replicates to slaves, and like does binary change logs on the databases, and like does locking based on that, and like you send your read it's designed for like read-heavy applications where you send your write traffic to the master and you send your read traffic to any of the replicated slaves, and like you manage replication lag and all sorts of stuff like that. So get good at knowing something like that. And then you have another system which is a write-heavy system, which usually I suggest like learning how DynamoDB or MongoDB or like one of those document stores works, and like how you would build a sharded based deployment where you'd be able to explain like, oh yeah, well you start with like one instance, and like when that doesn't scale well enough, you split it out to 2 instances, and like know how to maintain consistent hashing is the buzzword that you want to throw out, and like you essentially have a ring of nodes and like duplicate copies of each of the nodes, and like how to auto scale that and all sorts of stuff like that. And then I usually recommend knowing how to design a service discovery system, because oddly enough, you can spin almost any design and architecture problem into a service discovery system, where like you deploy a number of different services like database machines or like web front ends or web back ends or like generic services, and you need to kind of manage how each of those services talk to each other and know when new copies spin up and stuff like that, and auto scaling and all that jazz. But I usually talk about the like Synapse Nerve service mesh, service discovery, etc. What's a service? Oh, like an API. Yeah, like an API server. So like, I'll give you an example from Lyft. Like we have a service called, I think it's called Legacy API, which serves API traffic, some of the API traffic that comes from the mobile apps. But Legacy API talks to a bunch of different other things that do their specific component of the Lyft app. So like the coupon service manages coupons, and like the location service manages where cars and users and stuff are. And there's like a ton of services that make Lyft work, but there are individual applications that run separate to each other. But yeah, that's kind of what I suggest like for interviewing and stuff, and practice is the big one, because practicing that, like getting good at that is pretty good. Yeah, microservices, yeah, basically. Hey, what's up? Eric Likes Water 803. Thank you for the follow. I'm actually out of water right now, sadly, so I need to get some more, but I'm probably gonna not, and then wrap up and just get water after that. But that'll be fine. Let's see. Fartlord asks, did you think the degree was worth it? On paper, it's worth it. Sadly, unfortunately. I don't think I learned all that much in school that I couldn't have learned otherwise. Like, I think the things that I learned in school were mostly around theoretical computer science and not really like practical things. I also got a lot of networking and like met a lot of people, and that was certainly important. And like, it's hard to be in a environment where you're going to meet as many people as you can in college that are like-minded, similar age, and like working on the same things. And so like that's something that I think was pretty useful from my degree. But yeah, I don't know. It's the thing about a degree is it's useful for your first job, but then it doesn't really matter after that, I think. Let's see. Thoughts on packaging around Python, i.e. pip source/wheel versus Anaconda binaries. I don't really like the Conda approach, and that's just me. Partially because it requires, like, I don't know, to me, like, Anaconda is kind of like NPM in that you end up with a million copies of everything, and you have, like, these various hacks to link them around and make them kind of work, and I don't really like that. That said, for packages which have binary dependencies, it's hella convenient. I try and stick with pure Python as much as possible, and there are some C packages that I have that do have dependencies, and like managing those is kind of complicated, but I don't know. I do have like long rants about how wheels aren't quite the solution that we need, but also are pretty nice, and like you can kind of hack them to get what you want, and I don't know, but those are longer discussions. If you want to take some reading from like one of the packages that I wrote around this to kind of sort of address this problem, you can check out this package. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but it's like kind of my first approach to trying to solve this problem in a more scalable way, and in a way that's more compatible with a lot of security practices. So if you want to check that out, it kind of starts down that line. But yeah, hopefully that answers that. You sit down in the interview and they just hit you with this is just a formality at this point. Yeah, that would be. I haven't had any of those yet, but that would be pretty funny. Honestly, like, sometimes it could just be like that. Like, I work on enough stuff, I have enough industry experience that, like, it really should just be a formality at that point. You're updating repos, do not forget to set the option to delete branches. Oh, yeah. Well, unfortunately, it's the last one, so I'm only doing it for this one. But yeah, I really want a way to automate this, because manually checking this box is kind of annoying. Maybe I'll write a user script. Maybe we'll do that next stream. To like automatically open up the browser windows and click on it. That would be kind of cool. I was gonna make a fake e-commerce store using Amazon API, but I had to sign up and commit. It's like, fuck it, I'll just make a few fake products. Okay, cool. Can you give me a link to those 20 cheese buzz fuzz questions? I mean, most of them are on LeetCode, to be honest. So if you just like go through like the top 20 on LeetCode, you'll generally have most of them. Also, like, you'll develop strategies for solving each of those problems, and like you'll be able to reuse a lot of those strategies. So in particular with Python, there's a couple of things that I think solve almost all problems in almost all interview questions in Python. One of those is dec, which is a double-ended queue, which is just like an efficient queue. Another is ordered dict, which makes things easy. It's an ordered mapping type. Counter is a big one. This is one that people forget about a lot. The other one is set, which is not in collections. Oh, and default dict. Forgot about default dict. These classes make interview questions a lot easier, in my opinion. But also sets. There's set. But anyway, did I uncheck the little box? I did. Cool. So after that, I guess if I include these other orgs, I have some more to port over, but that one doesn't matter. These ones I have to move. Yeah, but anyway, I've mostly ported over. All these ones are going to be complicated. Actually, no, these are going to be easy because I already did the work to make them work. But anyway, that's all I wanted to accomplish today. So, oh, set is a built-in. Yeah. That's why it's not in the collections module. But yeah, that's all I wanted to accomplish for today. So I'm actually going to wrap up here. So let me do my spiel, and then I'll send you guys off to another stream. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. Nice chilling with you too, Goomback. But yeah, if you missed any part of the stream and want to catch up to that, I repost streams after the fact on YouTube. Hey, what's up, Greg? Thank you for the follow. But yeah, I repost streams on YouTube, so you can catch the content after the fact. Usually those are up by the next day. But yeah, these are all the past streams. Some of them are more or less interesting than others. One that I think is pretty interesting. Where is it? Vexoig. This was one of my favorite streams, this Vexoig memory leak, where I actually debugged a problem that we were having at work with this library, and then found a memory leak, and then eventually solved it. So this is a pretty cool stream from a while back. But yeah, there's a ton of content there if you want to see other stuff. So that's youtube.com/AnthonyWritesCode. Anthony Writes Code. So that takes you to YouTube. I usually stream once a week on Saturdays at 11 Pacific time, 11 a.m. Pacific time. But I also sometimes do random streams like the stream from today. And I announce those on Twitter as well as Discord. So it's twitter.com/codewithanthony. That's linked in the description below. But yeah, I usually announce either 30 to 60 minutes ahead of time. And I also announce on Discord, which you're happy to join, or you're welcome to join. My Discord is mostly like programming stuff. We also have some like memes and stuff, and we shoot the shit. And it's kind of a cool little group that we hang out together. But yeah, is the reposting YouTube to YouTube automated? No, it's actually more work than I care that I really like to do. Most of the work is making these thumbnails, but then I manually upload each of them. But re-record from, so I record and stream at the same time. So actually, this is my OBS setup. So I have like a streaming setup and I'm recording at the same time. And yeah, that wraps it up for today. I'm gonna go find someone to raid.